presence. You know, it looks good seeing this number of folks in the audience. I do know why you're out there. You're out there for special recognitions, and that's great. But I do thank all of you for being here. I do want to remind the speakers as well as my colleagues when they're talking, make sure that the mics are on and that you're speaking to the mics. Also, I want to remind you that we have a very lengthy agenda, and don't want to be here all day, all night. So just be mindful of that, you know, when you're speaking, if you will. Okay. Also, we want to really be in prayer and keeping our thoughts in prayer as it relates to the folks who are out in the western part of the state, as well as in other parts of the United States who have been affected by Hurricane Helene. So want to be mindful of that because some have lost their lives. I do know that Halifax County, our 911 center, have participated. Also, our sheriff as well as the EMS director has been a part of trying to help out. And even our county manager has offered her assistance professionally as well as personally to that part of the state, and we do appreciate that. With that being said, I'm going to ask who's in the short rows, Commissioner John Smith from Scotland Neck, if he will lead us in invocation. Then after that, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance in unison. Those of you who wish to join us, please stand.
Let us pray. Our Father in heaven, it's once again this morning that we humbly approach the throne of grace. Coming at this hour, dear God, realizing and recognizing the fact that it's in you that we live, move, and have our beings. So it's only fitting that we pause to say thank you. Gracious Master, we thank you for how you watched over us and blessed us and kept us throughout the night last night. Allowed us this morning to wake up, gracious Master, not only to wake up, but to get up and start another day's journey. As we find ourselves here this morning, gracious Master, coming, dear God, to take care of the affairs of this county, Heavenly Father, we ask, dear God, for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to do those things which be pleasing in your sight. Knowing if they're pleasing in your sight, dear God, then it would be beneficial to the people of this our county, Heavenly Father. We ask a special blessing, dear God, upon those out in the western part of North Carolina, Heavenly Father, who were hit hard by Hurricane Helene, oh gracious Master. We just ask, Heavenly Father, you would wrap your arms around them and let them know, dear God, that earth has no sorrows that heaven cannot heal. Ask, oh gracious Master, realizing there's another storm on the way out in Florida, dear God, but we ask, Father God, that you calm the storm, oh gracious Master. We just pray, Heavenly Father, that you keep your loving arms of protection around us. Go with us and stand by us. These and all other blessings we ask humbly this morning in the mighty name of Jesus that we pray, and we say amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We want to thank you, Commissioner Smith, for leading us in that prayer. You probably don't know it, but then again, I think you do know that. You really be in touch, and I think the calling is upon you. And it's been upon you.
Let's move on with other business.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Okay. Adoption of the agenda. I trust that my colleagues have had an opportunity to review the agenda. Are there any comments in regards to the adoption of the agenda? If not, I'll so entertain a motion.
I moved it.
Go ahead, both of y'all going off at the same time.
The agenda be adopted as presented. I will second that.
Okay, motion made by Vice Chair Brewer, second by Commissioner Johnson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Next item on the agenda is the conflict of interest. In accordance with the Halifax County Board of Commissioners Rules of Procedure and the North Carolina General Statute Section 153A-44, it is the duty of every member present to vote on all matters coming before the board unless there is a conflict of interest as determined by the board or by law. Does any board member have a non-conflict of interest with respect to any matters coming before the Halifax County Board of Commissioners today? Commissioner Johnson.
No conflict.
No conflict.
No conflict.
No conflict.
No conflict.
No conflict, sir.
Okay, Madam Clerk, let the record so reflect that the 6 commissioners present do not have any conflict with matters coming before us today.
Yes, sir.
Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Under the consent agenda, you have item A, which are budget amendments, item B, property tax collection refunds and releases, September 2024. Item C, Roanoke Rapids Graded School District Lottery Fund request. Item D, Roanoke Rapids High School Alumni Association fireworks display. Any questions or comments regarding the consent agenda? If not, I'll so entertain the motion for the approval.
Mr. Chairman, I move for the approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay. Motion been made by Commissioner Smith, second by Commissioner Davis. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Okay, next item, and this is why the majority of you are here this morning. I know. Special recognitions. Just before we get to item A on the special recognitions, our county manager has a special announcement to make.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to introduce Jason Miller, who I've lost in the crowd. There you are. He is the new Halifax County Forest Ranger with the North Carolina Forest Service. You may know they have faced many staffing challenges the last year or so. Our friend Jim Short, who was with us a long time, they have him in Warren County now, and our friend Adam Green is in Edgecombe County, and Jason comes to us from Northampton County. So I just wanted to introduce him to you all. You'll be seeing him a lot out in the community. He's attended our Harvest Days meetings, and he'll be at Harvest Days in about 2 weeks. So just want to welcome you to Halifax County.
Good to have you, Jason. Thank you for being here, and looking forward to what you want to be doing in your area. Thank you so much. At this time, we're going to move to item A, proclamation for National Disability Employment Awareness Month. We have Ms. Hazel Blunt with us, who is a member of the Human Relations Committee. Good morning, Ms. Blunt, and thank you for being with us, and you may come forward at this time. Good morning.
Time to read the proclamation for National Disability Employment Awareness Month. Whereas the month of October 2024 is recognized nationally as Disability Employment Awareness Month, ending, a time to acknowledge and celebrate the many varied contributions of individuals with disabilities to our workplaces, government entities, civic organizations, and communities. And whereas people with disabilities are a vital part of our diverse workforce, bringing unique perspectives, talents, and skills that drive innovation, enhance productivity, and contribute to the success of our local economy and community. And whereas Halifax County is committed to fostering an inclusive and supportive environment for all its citizens, including individuals with disability, by promoting employment opportunities, removing barriers, and ensuring equal access to education, training, and career development. And whereas civic organizations, government agencies, and businesses in Halifax County are encouraged to recognize the potential of individuals with disabilities, to provide accessible workplaces, and to promote an inclusive culture where everyone can contribute and thrive. And whereas the theme of National Disability Employment Awareness Month 2024, Advancing Access and Equity, reflects the importance of ensuring that all individuals, regardless of their abilities, have equal opportunities to contribute to their communities and achieve their career goals. And whereas the theme of National Disability Employment Awareness Month 2024, Advancing and Equity, reflects the importance of ensuring that all individuals, regardless of their abilities, and I think this is redundant, have equal opportunities to contribute to their communities and achieve their career goals. And now, therefore, be it proclaimed that Halifax County Board of Commissioners hereby recognizes and celebrates National Disability Awareness Month, calling upon employers, schools, and other community organizations of Halifax County to observe this month with appropriate programs and activities and support this message throughout the year. Adopted this 7th day of October, 2024. Brenda Wright, Chairman, and under readings, Clerk of the Board.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Blunt. Commissioners, you've heard information coming from Ms. Blunt. What is your pleasure?
Move for approval, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Johnson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Webb. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Okay,
I'm going to go get the corrected copy of the proclamation while I'm here at some place when Ms. Pat Peel has left care packets in observance of the breast cancer awareness.
okay. Let Ms. Peel know that we really do appreciate that. We probably will send something to her in writing to that effect. Also, as far as coordinating the revised proclamation between you and Dr. Cradle and our clerk, you make sure that's taken care of, right? Okay, thank you. All right, next item on the agenda, wow. Okay. Resolution to honor Mike Ralph Lubbock. We're going to ask Christina Wells, who is our Halifax County Deputy County Manager, to come forward, along with his wife and his son to come forward as well.
Did you ask for approval for the proclamation? Did you ask for approval for that proclamation that we just?
I'll do it after this.
I will say, I always have to have readers, but more so this time because there was so much wonderful information to include about Mike Lubbock that in order to have a framed copy and condense it to one page without extending the margins, these are necessary. So, just bear with me. Okay. Have you both here. Resolution in honor of Mike, as we like to know him, Ralph Lubbock. Whereas Mike Ralph Lubbock was born on January 17, 1944 in Taunton, Somerset, England. And whereas Mike Lubbock was raised on a rural dairy farm, discovering his love of nature at an early age and raising mammals and birds throughout his youth. And whereas upon his graduation from Pangbourne Nautical College, he became a volunteer with the Wildfowl and Wetlands Trust in Slimbridge, England in 1961, and his aptitude for the care and propagation of waterfowl earned him employment as an aviculturalist, where he went on to serve as curator and director of aviculture. And whereas Mike found not only his life's work, but also the love of his life when he met his wife Allie at the Wildfowl and Wetlands Trust in 1974. And whereas in 1975, Mike was entrusted to advise Queen Elizabeth II about her flock of red-breasted geese, and made regular visits over the next few years as Her Majesty's agricultural advisor. And whereas in his determination to save waterfowl, Mike embarked on more than 20 conservation expeditions throughout the globe, including saving the endangered Hawaiian goose, spearheading efforts to save the white-headed duck in Spain, collecting eggs in several countries to contribute to breeding programs for a number of waterfowl species, and providing expertise and support for the conservation and breeding of the Brazilian merganser, white-winged duck, white-faced whistling duck, and Bahama pintail. And whereas Mike and Allie moved from England to Sylva, North Carolina in 1981 and founded Sylvan Heights Waterfowl, then relocated to Scotland Neck, North Carolina in 1989, expanding Sylvan Heights from a breeding center to the world's largest collection of waterfowl species, and opening to the public in 2006 to share the beauty and diversity of waterfowl and attract visitors from all over the world. And whereas Mike achieved his goal to share his knowledge and experience with a new generation of aviculturalists and conservationists by bringing hundreds of interns, volunteers, and students to study and work at Sylvan Heights. And whereas Mike's innovative aviculture techniques and dedication to waterfowl conservation earned numerous awards, including 17 world first breedings and 15 North American first breedings, induction into the International Wild Waterfowl Association Hall of Fame, receipt of the Jean Delacour Agricultural Award, presentation of the Order of the Longleaf Palm, and in April 2024, given the honor of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire by King Charles III for his global wildlife conservation of water birds. Now, therefore be it resolved that the Halifax County Board of Commissioners sadly marks the passing of Mike Lubbock on September 7th, 2024, and recognizes his many contributions in extraordinary life. Much of his world-renowned work taking place right here in Halifax County, North Carolina. Be it further resolved that the original of this resolution be presented to Mike's wife Allie and son Brent, and that a copy of this resolution be spread upon the minutes of the Halifax County Board of Commissioners the 7th day of October, 2020.
Okay.
Thank you all very much. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, what I'm gonna do is this, we're going to give you an opportunity to talk. Let me carry the motion for it first, and I'll let you make remarks, because we're gonna do some other things as well, okay? All right, at this time, you've heard the information coming from Christina Wells in regards to such a great man in Halifax County. What is your pleasure?
Move approval of the resolution.
Motion made by Vice Chair Brewer, second by Commissioner Smith. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, now we'll hear from you.
And I won't keep you long.
No, look, no, sir.
Thank you so much for
Yep.
all of you. My father would really appreciate it, and my mom I know appreciates it too. We've been in Scotland Neck, Halifax County since 1989. We moved from Sylvan, North Carolina, so we feel right now with the mountains. He lives on through the business, and I hope those who haven't visited, you will visit Sylvan Heights. And I'm grateful to my godparents, Hannah, who's here, so Hannah Herring. They're the ones that introduced us to Scotland Neck, and we kept visiting through the 80s. And one thing my father always said, he loves this region because of the farming community, and he knew this is the best place to raise birds would be. Now we have the park, and thank you all for recognizing.
Brent, you and your dad and your entire staff, have really made a difference in this community. We hear about Sylvan Heights Park everywhere. Everywhere I go as a county commissioner in the state and as well as out of state. And I want you to know my wife is here this morning too, but every time our granddaughter come home, we come down to Sylvan Heights. And she loved those birds. And but it's just such a great asset in this community. I know we have a Scotland Neck official here today. We got the Mayor Pro Tem, Charles Shields, and I'm gonna ask him to come up along with your in-laws, and I want your whole family. Everybody who loves the Lubbock family, please come up. And I'm not asking the whole room, but you know what I'm talking about. But let's come up, because we're gonna do some pictures, and I want the commissioners to go down, as well as the attorney, the clerk, and the county manager. We're gonna take a picture. And Christina Wells, you're not gonna take this picture, you're gonna be in the picture. Yeah, let Ms. Scott take the picture.
Thank you.
Where do we stand?
She'll do it. And if you have anything to say, you can say it. Right. I want to track y'all. You see, I can't drive. Okay, tell us where you want to get.
I think if the Sylvan Heights family would get center stage.
And you probably need to know too, since you presented.
I want you to present.
Well, I didn't know too, but you come over there.
Lori, don't you want to come up?
Tourism, you come up, you guys are welcome to join us.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be here without tourism, so.
And then we need to make 2 lines, Kathy.
We might need to make. If y'all can do the pageant turn where, yeah, exactly. It makes us look thinner and it makes for a condensed lineup. Okay.
Christina,
Yes, sir.
Yeah, she's trying to
I keep trying to. Either way,
There you go.
I don't know if there's room for a
Yeah,
line.
you're good.
I'm gonna do one like this, I can get it, but I would like to try one with two on 2 rows, just to make sure you get the shots you want. I smile. Okay, now.
Push the front forward. Just kind of do this. Maybe along this line. And then, maybe you need to be up here. Yeah.
Maybe the taller ones like Mr. Smith.
Yeah, tall people.
Yeah. Like behind you.
Come up front too, yeah. Make sure we have a hole for your face.
Chairman Brian,
Here, see.
can you come on this side of the room?
There we go.
Just a little bit more. There you go. Got it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's a lot.
Yes, sir, we get him up there.
Did you want to sit?
Okay.
I'd just like to say thank you very much. It's a wonderful honor for my husband. We've been very fortunate to be in Halifax County. Toby kind of brought us here, and we just absolutely love it. And Sylvan Heights turned out to be so successful, more than we could believe, but it wouldn't have been without the county, town of Scotland Neck, and all the support we got from everybody. My husband and I are so proud of all of this. Our biggest pride is our son, who's been an ambassador for Silver Heights, for Scotland Neck, and for the county, and we're just beyond proud of him, because he's much better at talking and spreading the word. Thank you all so much.
Again, thank you all for being here and appreciate Mr. Chills from Scotland Neck being here. The mayor wanted to be here. He called me and said that he had to be out of town. He was sorry he could not be here, but wanted you all to know that.
Chairman, may I see you?
Yes, sir. You from Scotland Neck? You the
Yes, sir.
official from
Yes,
Scotland
sir.
Neck, all right?
And we're very proud to have them there in Scotland Neck, and they have been a great access to the area and bring a lot of tourism through Scotland Neck. I remember, and I'm sure I'm behind on my statistics, but I think I remember one year over 60,000 people I saw. I read that came in, and that's an awful lot of people coming into Scotland Neck. And we would deeply appreciate you all for being there, and bid y'all Godspeed.
Okay, all right. Now, we're going to move to the next item on the agenda, which is item C, resolution for the appreciation honoring Vice Chair Linda Brewer. All right. Yes, come on back here, please.
It's the good thing that it's not a roast.
You could be roasted.
You trying to drive again?
No license this time. See the sheriff out there. You know, just before I read this, boy, what can I say about Linda Brewer? She said girl. She's still beautiful.
Oh.
And I said that with James and Sandra here, that she's beautiful. But anyway, Linda has just, you know, she's vice chair of the board of county commissioners, and you know, what a vice chair. You know, Linda is my right hand, left hand, they're over there. And I mean, always asking, Ron, what can I do? And just always there, you know, to help me. Because, you know, I mean, we enjoy working together, all of us. And trust me, all of us work very well together. Even when I can't do it, Linda can't do it, these other folks will step up and do it. And, but Linda has just been just tremendous. She's been a friend too, a great friend. She and I have taken similar paths. I work for the state, she worked for the federal. but she was on the school board, we served at different times, and, but she was a member of the Grand Rapids School Board, so was I at one time, but we didn't serve together. She was a member of the hospital board. She served about 2 meetings, and then I was on the board, she left, so we didn't serve real electrical together. So we ended up on the Board of County Commissioners together, have been here for a long time, but London, I tell you what, you're just tremendous, and you're a wonderful person, wonderful lady, a great asset to our community, y'all. I'm just not standing there saying all this, y'all know this why you're here this way. And this lady really got it going on. And anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and do it before something else happens. I don't want it to happen. Resolution of appreciation for the services rendered by Honorable Linda A. Brewer, Halifax County Commissioner, Halifax, North Carolina. Whereas Linda A. Brewer was appointed by the Halifax County Board of Commissioners on November 21st, 2016, to fill the unexpired term of the late Commissioner Rachel K. Tuck, who was another county commissioner, as well as her husband. Whereas Linda A. Brewer was elected to serve on the Halifax County Board of Commissioners and was sworn in on December 5th, 2016. Mrs. Brewer was also elected by her fellow commissioners to serve as vice chairwoman on December 5th, 2022, which exemplifies her dedication and commitment to the betterment of Halifax County. Whereas Ms. Brewer has represented the citizens of Halifax County in the most efficient and exemplary manner while serving on the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners district. She was a district director for the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners. Now I'm a district director. She served widely as district director. And she's also been a trustee at Halifax County, Halifax Community College Board of Trustees, Jury Commission, Peanut Belt RPO Planner Organization, Transportation and Advisory Committee. I can't tell you how much she has helped, and Ms. Scott knows this. I can't help, and Ms. Denton too, how much she has helped me on that board. Because many times I can go to those meetings because of conflicts. Halifax County Recreation Partners Program, and the list just goes on. Whereas during her service as an elected official, Ms. Brewer demonstrated wisdom, creativity, community spirit, all tempered with exceptional common sense and engaging personality, which gained the admiration and respect of her fellow commissioners and the citizens of Halifax County. Whereas Ms. Brewer was involved in many decisions affecting the character of the community, each time exhibiting sound judgment and concern for the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens, thus enhancing county services improve Halifax County's unique quality of life. Now, therefore, it be resolved that Halifax County Board of Commissioners does hereby thank and express its sincere appreciation for the outstanding service that Mrs. Brewer has rendered to Halifax County, and to extend to Mrs. Brewer its best wishes for success, happiness, and prosperity in her future endeavors. Be it therefore resolved that the Halifax County Board of Commissioners, on behalf of a grateful community, see all this community, does hereby proclaim October the 7th, 2024, as the Linda A. Brewer Day from Halifax County, that the original resolution be presented to Linda Brewer, and that a copy of this resolution be spread upon the minutes of Halifax County Board of Commissioners on the 7th day of October, 2024. Vernon J. Bryant, Chairman. You didn't sign this, by the way. Honorable Carolyn C. Johnson, Commissioner. Ms. Johnson will be honored next month. She's the most tenured person on the board. Honorable John Smith, and also the Honorable Sammy D. Webb. And Sammy Webb carries about 3 times and the Honorable Shanora Richardson Davis, Andrew Williams, clerk to the board. But isn't this beautiful? I can't think of a person walking the face of the earth that's a county commission North Carolina who deserves this any more than you, Brother Brewer. Congratulations. we're not finished with the picture taking, but I'm putting this over here on the side for a second. I need to make a motion that we so adopt this proclamation.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Bryant, second by Commissioner Johnson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Okay, now, at this time, you're welcome to make any comments. Then after she made comments, which I know she got something to say. We're going to ask anyone who want to, you know, family and church family, friends, or whoever, if you want to come up and take a picture with her, we're going to do that too, along with the commissioners, but I'll let you know about all of that. But as of now, we're just going to hear your comment. And I'll put this in.
I didn't know it was my day.
Oh, hold on for a second. I forgot something. I knew I had forgot something, so I didn't have my list. Ms. Denton has something to present to you. Come on. You can say something.
My heel got caught. Hang on, leaving that fault. That would make this meeting really exciting. Good morning, everyone. This will probably be the least stylish thing in your closet. But if anybody can make this look good, it's you. So for those of you that haven't seen this, this is a new item we've gotten for our retirees, our 30-year retirees and our commissioners. And we hope that you will wear it with pride. And you will look gorgeous in it, as with everything. But this is from the staff, and we want to thank you for your support. You have always been hugely supportive of staff. She tells us like it is. That's how we like it. We don't like surprises. She doesn't like surprises, so we try to keep it that way. But we are going to miss you terribly. We're going to miss your sass. We are going to miss your fashionista. You're an inspiration to all of us girls up here. And let me tell y'all, they know her all over the state. When I have NCACC people talk to me, they say, we're going to miss Mrs. Ford. I'm like, you are too. But this, you will still represent Halifax County, and you will do it well. So this is for you. And we have one more item from the county, and Thomas is going to bring it up. And he and Christina are going to display it. This is the next to last county road available until we can figure out who can make us more. But we present this to you in appreciation of your service to the county and its citizens and all of the things on that road. So we hope that you'll enjoy it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That
Yes,
was
ma'am.
all of our gifts.
Okay, thank you, Madam County Manager. Now, Ms. Brewer, guess what? It's your turn.
Well, you skipped over something.
Oh.
You said I went to work for the feds. You failed to mention I worked for the county.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, yes.
In 1968, I started out in mental health, and I should have paid those people that sent me to school. They gave me a lot of insight on any issues you might be having. But I have been out here since '68, and it's been interesting. But I said to Mary this morning, it isn't about us, it's about you folks who work here day in and day out that make the difference. I'll miss you. I'll miss you, but it's time to go. There's an old proverb that says, it's an African, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. I've been with the best. Thank you.
Ms. Brewer?
I tried.
We need for you to do one other thing.
I'm about done.
You about done? Now, come on back, Ms. Brewer, and I want all of you. Then after we take a picture, we're going to ask
her family that's interested, her church family, I know has more than half of the room. And then also I see the president of the community college, and her to come up and take a picture as well, because Linda is on the board of trustees at community college. I guess you and I can stand and send it. Okay. You stand?
I'm coming.
Okay.
Y'all need to get up here.
Okay. All right, are we okay?
You
Are we
are,
still-
y'all are
Are we still for the seal?
Y'all love each other.
All right.
Y'all love. All right, beautiful. Okay. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. Smiles bright, eyes open.
Okay, Scott.
Yeah, you should be in the.
Okay. Christine, will get it?
No, I'm good, y'all. No, I'm trying to avoid
Okay.
that.
All right, at this time, we're going to ask her, her church family, her immediate family, you know, you come up to stand and take pictures with. Commissioners, we can be excused, probably except for myself.
Come out here.
All right, y'all, come on.
You people that work in the county, you serve.
That's a lot of them. Come on, Sheriff.
Everybody works in the county. See the sheriff, see the tax man.
I'm so glad we got that.
Dr. Allen, Lord, come on.
On the sofa, I thought about that. Yeah.
Son, you want her better?
It's gonna be a long day today.
Come on, Jose.
It's gonna be a long day today.
Thank you, okay, maybe right. Okay, and then let's get some flanking here, maybe the shorter statured folks, and then some taller statured folks. Can y'all come up closer so we can have heads and spots?
I'll be there, don't worry. Y'all, or you can get over here and the balance. Sorry.
We need a few more on this side.
That might be got heads like
Thank you,
that.
George.
Smaller ones over here.
I was just thinking that. Yes, sir, if you don't mind. Thank you. We're getting the balance. Spence, I can't see you. I knew it would be you. All right, let's see, Musette, y'all come in a little tighter. Okay, Scott, goodness, what did I do? Let's see how many we can get in. Richard, fine. All right, let's see. All right, 1, 2, we're having to go in the sky. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. Anybody else? It's a good looking group of folks, though. I'll say that.
Okay.
One with just your family?
Yeah.
Yeah, come on.
Got three generations here.
Yeah, I got 3 generations.
Okay, just for a minute. No, you hold that.
Yeah, you got
If you all would ask some of these men up here, they'd tell you every day was my day.
And it is at my house.
1, 2, 3. You throw me with handsome men, somehow it doesn't.
Okay, at this time, we're going to ask Commissioner Webb to do blessing of the food, and we have prepared a light repast outside for the Lubbock family and friends, and also for Commissioner Bruin also. Just help yourselves out with Commissioner Webb. And we're going to be at these for about 10 minutes. 10 minutes is, let's see. 10:21. There you go, 10:21, be back.
Father, as we gather on this great day, celebrating the service of our County Commissioner, Linda Brewer. Father God, we thank you for those who were able to assemble. Father God, we thank you for the food and the hands that prepared it. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, it's outside. It's just a little light refreshment, very light refreshment.
appreciate you. At this time, we're going to move to the next item on the agenda, which is public comment. From my understanding from talking with the clerk, we do not have anyone here to speak on the public comment. So we'll move to item 4, which is under the agenda items. In item A, Rural Digital Opportunity Fund, which is RDOF, update from Charter. We have Eric Collins here, Director of Government for Charter Communications. Thank you for being here. We'll hear from you at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's good to be with you. Madam Vice Chairman, congratulations.
Thank you.
Members of the board, it's good to be with you again. Now, I'm supposed to be in technology, so let's see if I can work.
It's us, it's not you.
Imagine I need it right up there.
Are you pressing blank screen
Yep.
and point to the projector? Here you go.
I'm not going to bother Glenn.
It's good to be with you again. I was here back in January to provide an update on the RDOF, which is Rural Digital Opportunity Fund. That charter was awarded from the FCC through a reverse auction. And during that time, we actually won awards in over 90 counties across the state, and that was just in North Carolina. So that was pretty much transpired across the United States. Charter being the second largest cable provider in the United States. We're also the leader and largest rural internet service provider in the nation. And we're excited to bring broadband to the much needed areas, the rural areas of Halifax County. And as we go through the slides from our previous meeting, the next slide will blow up a little bit larger. But as you notice, we have about 5,880 locations that we're going to be building to. From the last meeting here, I think the one question I got is how quick can you get it to us, because we need it now. And in that we're building across the nation and building in all the counties in North Carolina, ones that we're building in. One thing that we're challenged is for us, and not only us, but other providers, is we have a limited number of contractors able to build. So we understood that to be an issue, not only with that, but also with the great grants that the state has awarded, the CAB awards that the state has awarded, and now we're going into the B grant awards for the state. So as we look at the map, this is a little bit, the shaded areas in blue. I'm sorry, that's about as good as I could get with Google Earth and pointing out the areas that we're going to be building. Talking with the construction team, we're going to start construction in January, the first quarter of 2025. I've been told that by the construction team that we'll also be begin activating customers as we're building. One reason it took a little longer to get to Halifax County is because of where we were having to come to. We have to have a major trunk fiber that comes into the county in order to begin building. So we have an inter-network with all the counties, our fiber ring that goes around the state. And coming from the southern portion of the eastern portion of North Carolina, we have built up to Halifax County. So we'll be coming into Halifax County beginning the first quarter. And as we build the fiber network, as we won't wait until the entire network is built before we start activating. It doesn't make sense to do that. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be activating customers and residents that choose the service as we build. So I will, Ms. Wells, talk on the phone and my email, and Ms. Denton, I will continue to keep them updated as to where we're going to start building. So I have to inform the board that we're The time has come, and it is now, and we're going to be offering and building out the fiber network to these 5,880 locations. Right, as was shared before, there's various phases through the build-out process. We started, we completed the walkout. That is where each and every home that within that service area with the FCC award, we have contractors that actually walk the area. And probably citizens and residents here in Halifax County within these shaded areas have seen contractors either rise on their marked cars on the side of the roads or walking along the highway as they were mapping and walking out to design the system. After the walkout was completed, the design was done. Design was completed. Right now, we're in the permitting phase. The permitting phase is one of the most challenging phases. The permitting phase is determined whether we go underground or whether we go aerial. Going aerial is much faster. We have had challenges in the past because when we go aerial, we're talking about connecting our fiber lines to utility poles. In some situations, it has been difficult to get permits for to connect to poles. But I would say here in Halifax County, I think they've done a very good job of that. The utility provider has been in the process of the permitting in those areas that where it's a long distance between the poles or there's an easement issue, will actually go underground. Most of the areas that we've done and locations where we've had utility issues getting permits, we went totally underground. So we're in that permitting phase. Phase 6 will begin, the activation process will begin in January. The connections will actually, the activations, and then you have the construction, and then we have the make-ready. The make-ready, of course, is that when we receive the permits back and we're ready to begin construction, and we'll begin construction again. We'll begin in January and hope to have some of the residents connected. We will start in the southern part of the county because that is where the fiber is coming into. It's going to take a little more time to get to the northern portions of the county. As I always stated, when it comes to broadband and the need of broadband, everyone wants to be first. We get that, but you can't construct a network that way. So we'll begin in the southern portion of the county, we'll move forward, we'll sweep across up north, and hopefully by the end of 2025 or sooner, we'll be completed with Halifax County, and hopefully we'll have a lot of satisfied residents who have access to broadband. Our broadband speeds is going to be a gig service. We're hoping in the future it's going to be symmetrical. So our offerings for our residents is not only going to be broadband, but we'll also have cable television, video services. We're going to provide also phone service, which is voice over IP. We'll also provide phone service, cell phone service. As Spectrum, that is one of our newest services that we offer consumers is cell phone service, mobile service. As a longtime friend of mine who was a pastor, was 101 years old, he made this statement. He said, short visits make long friends, and I want to keep you as friends, so we're going to make this as short as possible. But I'll open it up to any questions that you may have.
Okay, you've heard information coming from Mr. Collins in regards to his report. I have a couple of questions, and I don't know, colleagues may have some as well, maybe. What was the original number of bill-outs in Halifax County that you were awarded?
Excuse me?
What was the original number of bill-outs in Halifax County that you were awarded?
It was 58. That was the original number.
Okay.
That number can change because what was awarded by the FCC was based on satellite view and data that the FCC has.
Right.
So they pretty much will count every building top. So that might be in an abandoned home.
Okay.
So when we do the walkout, it could be less or it could be more.
Okay.
Based upon the fact that when the FCC released the data.
So as of now, That number has not changed?
It has not changed. When I get that information, Mr. Chairman, I can provide that.
Okay, all right, very good, okay. Any questions or comments from any of my colleagues?
I have one. As far as the RDOF, do you know when you will actually be deploying the fiber to the homes?
That's exactly what it is, what we're talking about.
The
is fiber to the home.
25, January 25,
The construction will begin first quarter.
first quarter.
And we're hoping that the commitment was made about construction, we're hoping to have activations in the first quarter as we're constructing, because we're going to be constructing the fiber network,
Right.
and as we're constructing, we're going to activate those nodes, or activate customers. Yes.
All right.
And it will be a fiber to the home build.
Okay, anyone else?
I have two questions. First question is, besides the plans you have for service now, do you have any other plans for service deployment in the county?
That's a very good question, because as I mentioned in my earlier comments, the state, of course, as you know, was, they had the Great Grant Awards, and then they had the CAP Awards, and I think other providers, one was awarded those grant awards here in the county. But the major funding source that's coming down from the FCC is the BEAD award. So the state is going through the process, the challenge, it's a long process that the state, the NCDOT goes through. And we're an active participant in that. And as far as charter is concerned, that's a grant award where a provider can apply for award, and we really don't need a partnership with the county. So the county has to put forth ARPA funds, matching funds for a grant. There's no matching funds in the BEAD, and we're going to be an active participant in all of our footprint for BEAD. So yes, we're planning on participating in the BEAD award to further expand our service from the RDOF here in the county.
I think you have another, Mr. Webb?
Yes, sir. And
Okay.
since the Affordable Connectivity Plan is on, will you offer a low-income plan for
Yes,
customers?
we did. We actually had a low-income plan prior to ACP. It's called our Spectrum 100 service. So that is for low-income families that qualify for, that eitherwise students receive a free or reduced lunch. And for seniors, it's seniors that receive a Social Security benefit supplement.
You finished, Mr. Webb?
Yes, sir.
Okay, anyone else?
I have a couple questions.
Yes.
You spoke about the underground, going underground or aerial. So what would be the preference? I've been told, learned that basically underground for fiber is probably the best, but then you mentioned aerial, so.
Aerial's a lot faster. If you can imagine how long it takes to trench and bore when they're in using the state's right-of-ways when you're talking about various conduits. We prefer to go aerial because we can move a lot faster, but there's certain circumstances we have to go underground. So it's going to be a combination of aerial and underground.
And then how, and maybe you've answered this and I just want to get clarification on it. So how will the funding in the B awards, how will you all support what was already been done through like the great, I forget the terms, the caps, and yeah, how do we not overlap but add to that and still?
Yes, the state has done a really good job. As we know, the FCC mapping data was not good, and the state's realized using the FCC data was not good because it did not capture all the locations that was truly unserved. Because under the FCC data, in a census block, as you know what census blocks are, it has a specific area of homes. In those homes, the way the FCC definition before they revamped to BDS mapping is that if one household receives service above 25 megabytes per second, the federal government considered that entire census block served, even with one household being served. So that census block was ruled out. So it was taken off the map. So with the new BDS mapping is what they're doing is getting data that's very granular. They're looking at each and every household that does not meet the standard of broadband of 25 by 3. So now we have data in the state of North Carolina, NCVIT, is using the state's data to pull that mapping data to show every housetop that does not receive. And it was an effort on behalf of not only the state, the federal government, but providers. Providers had to provide data showing exactly where their footprint was. And by doing so, they were able to create a map, not only using that, but also using information that went to citizens' online tracking channels, using tracking information where residents could send in data saying, no, my house top is not, it doesn't receive 25 by 30 data. So with that, it accumulated together to show every house top does not receive broadband.
You finished, Commissioner Davis?
One last question, I'm sorry.
Okay, all right.
Can you share the Federal Communication Commissioner's progress report for Halifax County?
When you mean the federal FCC's progress report?
How much of our area is connected to the the broadband?
Yeah, actually, the county has access to that. I'll be glad to send that website. It's an FCC website that you can go to. And every resident can go to that website, and you can actually go to the state's website, and a resident can put their address in this website. They can put their address, and they can tell if their house is going to be served by RDOF or whatever provider was great, because all the grants that were received were input into the data that the state has to show, to make sure there's not going to be any overlap, because what the state didn't want to happen is to be an overlap of service where there have been wasted funds in trying to get rural broadband. I'll get that over to Christine.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, if I might, I would kind of like
Okay.
to follow up on the question that Commissioner Davis raised about the installation of the fiber underground or aerial. Now, I know you said aerial is faster, but sometimes fast is not the best. So, I mean, do we not feel like it would be, because, I mean, basically, you say you're going to do it fast. You get it there, we got it going on, and every 2 days we got a problem.
Well, fiber just rides transport. It's a little bit different in coax, where you have active equipment in the air on the pole. Because with fiber, only the fiber's riding on the air, in the air, but all the electronics actually come down and go into a wall and come to a point where the electronics are at. They're not up on the pole. So there's not going to be a real big difference. The only difference I can say with going underground, and there's certain counties where it appears that every resident has a backhoe. And when they dig, they cut it. And when they cut it, the cost of getting it repaired and the time frame of getting it back up is much longer. So that's why we utilize aerial. If it's storm related where you were closer to the ocean, where we have a lot of hurricanes, a lot of storms that really impacted, it would really make a difference of completely going underground. But what we found in this portion of the state, a combination of aerial and underground with fiber optics, fiber to homes, really doesn't make a difference at all about service going down. Fiber is a very reliable service.
Okay.
And one more question, will you offer subsidy with your devices? Will you offer a subsidy with your devices?
Will we offer a subsidy?
Will you?
And what do you mean by subsidy?
Well, I guess you kind of answered it to a certain extent when you made mention of the low-income people and things of that sort.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
What we offer is the Spectrum 100, which is a low-cost service. What it provides is a low-cost service with free modem into the home. So they won't have to pay for the modem that they have in the home. They're just paying for the service. The modem's free.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
Yeah, my initial question that I was going to ask referred to timelines, but you pretty much covered the timelines. But I just want to give a commentary first. And I had said to the chairman that we've heard so many reports. We've had been made so many promises. And so I guess my first question is this going to take place in a timely manner and that we can count on this happening?
Absolutely. The one thing that we can commit to is that we're not giving any RDOF locations back to the FCC. We're committed to building every location that we were awarded. That's why we're going to have boots on the ground in January. You'll begin to see construction crews. Once we start in this county, and we'll build until we're completed. Because the one thing we don't want to do is start a construction crew and then take them and move them somewhere else. Unless there's a natural disaster somewhere, like that happened in Asheville, that we'll have to, take those crews and maybe relocate them somewhere else. But our plans is to complete exactly what we committed to.
Let me quote your words. You said that you were going to start in the southern part of the county. And when you start there, to get in the northern part of the county, it's going to take a little time. Clarify for me what a little time means.
A little time is this is because we have to complete what's in the southern part because of the way fiber network works. You build out a certain part of the county in order to get for residents in the northern portion of the county to get service. You got to fiber to them.
Okay.
So it wouldn't make construction sense to start a fiber here and just pull fiber over there and start building. In order to make the most wise decision would be to build out as you go, connect customers as you go. In other words, if we started construction in the southern part of the county, we started putting fiber, you're going to get residents that's anxious. They're ready for the service. And they're going to see construction teams, they're going to stop and ask our construction team, when do I expect service? And if we're just putting a fiber there, getting their hopes up just to get to point B, your residents are going to get annoyed with us. As to why did you come by my home and you didn't activate me, but you went to the other side and started activating those customers. So it only makes sense and a good business practice to build the network as you go. So we're having to build from the southern part because we're coming south out of Wilson County in that area, and we're just going north. I hope that answers your question.
No, not really. Hypothetically, say you start in the month of November in the southern part. And I'm asking this because people are going to ask me.
Right, what the timeline is.
Right. So how much time do you think possibly
It would,
you get to the northern part?
I can't answer that question. Construction, I can get you the answer.
Okay.
I can provide you that. I can provide you that.
That would help me a lot.
I can give you a time frame we're expecting in the entire county to be built.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Ms. Johnson, I'm not putting words in my mouth, but I think she's wanting that deployment line of the time frame, and if you provide that to the county management, that will help out us tremendously. Ms. Johnson, do you have any more questions?
I do, but I'm good.
You sure? All right. Well, Mr. Collins, you've heard from the line of questions asked by my colleagues. We're serious about this stuff, and, we've heard promises and this and that timeline. And we're just tired of it.
Yep.
We want results,
Right.
and that's what we want, bottom line. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so that's what we expect, and thank you for coming, okay?
And what I'll do, I'll come into the board, as we begin construction, maybe once a quarter, I can come and give updates.
That'd be great.
How about that?
We appreciate that. Thank you. That's a
Mr.
good
Chairman, before
suggestion.
you
Yes,
go,
sir.
if I could, when you say the southern end, I guess you're talking about down in the Hopgate areas, coming from there, are you?
I would assume so, according to that map.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because as,
I don't have the actual as-built maps. I'm in government affairs, the construction team, design team has that.
as the chairman said, they're suffering, down in that area. You can't even get a cellular phone to work now. I can go through Hotwood and the telephone goes right out. And so, it would be great if we could get something down in our area. Yes, sir.
Okay.
We're excited about you coming.
Yep, you're exactly right, and I think a good thing that you suggested about following it up once a quarter, coming before us and presenting it and asking our questions, I think that'll be a good thing to do. Okay, thank you for coming. Okay. At this time, we're going to move to the next item.
Can I just say something?
Yes, ma'am.
Since I'm out,
No, it's-
headed out the door.
No,
I
no,
was talking to
it's your day.
my companion over there. And at some point, and I might work on this after December, this utility ought to be just like lights, water, sewer. Somehow, we as people have got to figure out how to get our legislators, local, state, federal, to look at this as a necessity in life. But thank you for sharing this today. We've been looking at this a long time. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate you coming. Okay, next item, we have Halifax County Convention and Visitors Bureau Annual Report. We have Lori Matlin, who is the Halifax County President and CEO, and she got a slew of people. Where y'all going? Oh, I thought y'all were leaving, okay.
It's Christmas.
It's your day.
It is my day. I got presents and everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey there. All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's nice. Heavy.
Got the reboot.
That's a pull off here.
It was a little bit hot from the last one.
I'd like to see it in my lifetime be accomplished. See, I didn't see there's nothing that. Just be able to tell the
Bless you, dear. Oh, here's the book. She got the book with her. So how's he doing? I normally call him James.
Yeah, I can read it to you, but a lot of video. Hold on now.
Oh, you'll fix it, okay.
Oh, no.
There you go.
Okay, is that it? Yes? Is that the way it's gonna be? Yes, go? Okay. Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, sorry about that, it really isn't. Okay, I'm here today to present to you the Halifax County Tourism Development Authority Annual Report for 2023-24. And I know we've had a big morning, and I'll try to go quickly. This is a story of partnerships. We have a lot of partnerships that help us be successful. One of our most important is our partnership with Visit North Carolina. This year, we took advantage of one of their co-op opportunities that they offered to us and worked with Visit NC to create a new video for Halifax County, and I want to share that with you now. It's only about 2 minutes.
Let's get together and take a road trip. There are all kinds of roads. Whether you need a quick day trip escape or a long, peaceful trek through nature, here in Halifax County, North Carolina, plan a visit that's all your own. Maybe you're looking to stretch your legs just off I-95 with plenty of space for your four-legged travel partner. Or enjoy a long, slow walk through historical NC. Take a journey through time to discover why Halifax is deemed the birthplace of American independence. Trace where the whispers of the American Revolution first began and connect to the past with every step. It's here that the Halifax Resolves were adopted, serving as an igniting call for complete independence from Great Britain. Join our entire county as we recognize the home of this historic call to action with a multi-year celebration of our own. Take some time and marvel at nature. Get a sip of history. Walk a revolutionary path. History lovers and travel enthusiasts alike will feel how our connection to the past informs every experience Halifax has to offer today. For every kind of trip, we welcome visitors with a healthy appetite and an insatiable curiosity to try something new. We're ready to introduce the world to the tastes of North Carolina. Discover the joys of farm-to-table dining tucked away in historic buildings. Linger longer over the last bite. Our Halifax communities welcome all with arms outstretched and stories to tell. Take home more than memories with plenty of shopping. Join hands with the communities that enrich our county and celebrate diversity through food, art, and shared experiences. From a day on the water at Lake Gaston to a night out on the town, there are plenty of moments ready to be made memorable. With everything Halifax County has to offer, take a journey through time that is truly timeless. Wherever life takes you and whatever road you're on, you're always welcome in Halifax County, North Carolina.
Sorry to show you all that food right here and that it looks so much better on a computer screen or on your phone. So if you get a moment, it lives on Visit Halifax. So when you go out there, you can see all those vibrant colors. But I hope you're proud of the way we're representing the county.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Our mission statement, as you all know, is very, very simple. This was the mission statement they adopted in 1987 when you, as county commissioners, formed this Tourism Development Authority, and it's to promote the growth of tourism in Halifax County. And we've never seen the need to change that. It's very simple and very impactful. Our team, who I'll introduce you to later, we work every day to drive visitation to our county, to tell our stories, and to grow the economy here in Halifax County. Our funding comes entirely from a 5% room tax paid by visitors who stay overnight in our accommodations. No local tax dollars are used in our effort, and I'm very proud of the way tourism works in North Carolina. I always say we eat what we kill, so what we bring in is what we use to spend, a piece of it, to bring in more visitors. It's a really beautiful system, and I'm really proud of it. The highlight of this year
was our record-breaking visitor spending. Visitors left in Halifax County in 2023, $134,450,000. Now, these numbers, Visit NC does a study every year with an economist, and they give us our numbers, and they give us our numbers on a calendar year. So this is for 2023. That number is up 10% from the previous year. That's a remarkable increase, over 10.4% over 2022. So we are on the rise. We have a new hotel coming online and new Airbnbs opening all the time. So those numbers should only increase in the future. Occupancy tax funds left in our community rose by over 14%, and our short-term rentals, which are your Airbnb market, rose an astonishing over 5.38%. So people are really looking for those short-term rental stays, and they're growing tremendously in our county. We're not missing that boat. Visitors spent over $31 million in lodging, over $43 million on our wonderful food and beverage here in Halifax County, over $17 million in recreation, over $10 million in retail, and over $30 million in transportation. So they're leaving dollars here that are helping our community far and wide. We are very proud of the fact that our industry employs over 1,000 people directly and indirectly here in Halifax County. Total payroll generated by our direct employment in 2023 was over $31 million. State tax revenue generated by visitors was over $5.7 million. And I love this other number. Local taxes generated from sales and property taxes from travel generated and travel supported businesses was over $4.2 million. Visitor spending in Halifax County saved each taxpayer over $208.98 on their tax bill. So keep growing that number. These are examples of earned media. This is media that we didn't have to pay for. We were proudly in Our State Magazine, Travel, Taste, and Tour, and Destinations Reunions, which are 3 great places to talk about Halifax County. Meeting here for a family reunion and having some great food, and all we have that was a feature on the Halifax Results, as well as state icons in Our State Magazine. Our CVB reached an audience of over 292 million, almost $23 million. This was in paid and earned media this year. And when you look in your report, you can see examples of those publications. I just like to put this slide up because he's our cute sister. But we talk about being a pet-friendly destination, and we spotlight our pet-friendly partners, and that is a market that continues to grow. Our social media is vital in promoting Halifax County as a top destination. We have 19,715 followers on our social media platforms, and these are examples of some of our highest performing. Again, talking about our food, well, there's a Ralph's, and there's Oscars, and Action on the River, and some of our festivals, Browning's Grills even in here. When we talk about the food, people listen. We keep our audience informed by sharing our dynamic content, photos and videos, most importantly, of our events and more. Our efforts have resulted in over 2 million impressions and over 150,000 engagements. I'm going to show you a little clip of something that I hope will kind of give you an idea why, but our overall impressions were up over 20% this year, and our engagements, as people were clicking forward and doing things with our posts, was up over 75%. And our total followers on Instagram increased over 35%. And we think that's because of our video content, so we thought we'd show you. That says, I've only ever driven to Halifax County. I've never stopped there. What's there? That's just a little bit of what we like to tell people about. Our billboards speak to our largest audience, which is I-95, and our permanent and temporary boards reached over 192 million impressions last year. We love to do co-ops. Visit NC offered us co-ops in Southern Living, Garden and Gun, and Our State Magazine this year. And additionally, we placed paid ads in Our State, USA Today, Travel Guide, and Go Escape, Destination Reunions Magazine, the North Carolina Fishing and Hunting Guide, Travel, Taste, and Tour, and more. Just an example of where we're telling your story. Our new ad in the North Carolina Travel Guide added 550,000 readers year-round to our reach. As you all know, we are the birthplace of independence, and as the United States approaches our 250th anniversary, we took a leading role in promoting this historic milestone with special focus on the town of Halifax, known as the birthplace of independence. Halifax holds a unique place in U.S. history, and our area is dedicated to ensuring that this significance is shared with both residents and visitors alike. So we worked on a wayfinding program, a banner program, paid media, a billboard program, and we also did a little Instagram.
Join the North Carolina State for a 2-year celebration of the 250th anniversary of the Halifax Resolves. The Halifax Resolves are generally considered the first official act of any colony for independence from Great Britain. Get ready for an extraordinary journey through history as we gear up to celebrate America's remarkable milestone, its 250th birthday. Halifax County, nestled in the heart of North Carolina, proudly holds the title of the birthplace of American independence.
One of the things we think is really important that we do for our community is sponsor events. And one of the most important ones of those is Harvest Days coming up in a couple of weeks. We also sponsor things like the infield fishing paddle, 4th of July fireworks celebrations around the county, the North Carolina Bourbon and Spirits Festival, and the Halloween Pony Powwow. So I thought I'd give you one more look at our social media by showing you our latest post for Halifax Day.
Good Lord, don't call me up and don't shout with me. There's a party downtown near Fish. Everybody at the bar being tipsy. Everybody at the bar being tipsy.
One of the other things we work on a lot is projects. This year we worked on the Weldon Riverfront Enhancement Project by funding the canoe outtake in Weldon above the rapids. We've also rebuilt the Tuska Landing in Halifax, and we have funds to build a outtake in Halifax with North Carolina Wildlife Resources. We're stuck in archaeological research right now, so hopefully that'll get done pretty soon. We worked on striped bass restoration this year, very importantly doing some taking the eggs and fertilizing them and putting them back in the river. So that population is in big trouble, and we're hoping that these efforts will bring that fishery back to our area. We help fund the Rennoc Canal Museum operations, Civil War trail markers, the Rennoc Valley Veterans Museum, and the Halifax County Underground Railroad Trail. That's just the tip of the iceberg. I hope you guys think it was worth waiting a little bit to see those videos. And most importantly, today I want to recognize my team. Susan Wilhelm, she's been with us 21 years. Stand up, Susan. She's our manager of administration. Priscilla West has joined us this year as our visitor center coordinator, and we have people coming in the visitor center just to talk to Priscilla. They come by, tell her about her trip, they stop telling them that when she's going. I've never seen anything like it. She's doing a great job. And Rich Lithgow, our director of technology, who makes every day a whole lot easier than it would be without it. Also, we have some board members here. Sandra Bryant is here with us today. She really keeps us going in the right direction. Brent Lubbock had to leave. He was here. Kathy Scott is with us for economic development, and Mary Duncan keeps all our numbers straight and keeps us all straight going forward. I think that's all my board members here today. I don't want to leave anybody out. You appoint our board members, so you're really so responsible for making all this happen, and I can't tell you how much we appreciate the thought that goes into giving us board members that have great ideas. Everyone that comes to the board sends us in a different direction, and it's really wonderful, so we appreciate that. And thank you for your time this morning.
Laura, on behalf of the great presentation, Laura, as always, and on behalf of the Board of Halifax County Commissioners, we do appreciate you as well as your staff and the board for all that work that you do for this county. You all do a great job. Colleagues, at this time, we have to accept the Halifax County Convention and Visitors Bureau annual report. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Davis. There a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Smith. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Again, thank you. Appreciate y'all. Thank y'all. And she's right. I tell you what, Priscilla and Susan both, boy, you go in now, they just love to talk too. And But they make you feel so warm and welcome. They really do. Every time I go there, Priscilla took, I got to tell us a little quick story. I want a blue ink pen, and my wife know I'm crazy about blue ink pens, and Dale know I'm crazy about blue ink pens too. Anyway, Priscilla looked all over the whole place to find me a blue ink pen.
Your bag today.
Okay, see? Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right.
You're up.
Next, we're going to have Halifax Community College annual funding approval. Dr. Elliott, our illustrious president of Halifax Community College. She may have a guest with her as well. Okay, good morning.
Good morning, Chairman White, Commissioners.
Good morning.
I feel like I was set up to be on the agenda after Ms. Medlin. So, you don't come in with a comprehensive presentation or a goodie bag. You just need to sit down. That is what Ms. Smith and I are doing this morning with Ms. Anika Smith, our CFO. And on behalf of Halifax Community College, we are coming before you this morning because annually the York County Community College system requires community colleges to list all of their funding sources on one form called DCC 2-1 as required by the general statute, and have the local college board of trustees and county commissioners to approve and sign that form. And so respectfully, we're coming before you this morning with that request.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Elliott. I think you have in your pack of information letters that's been drafted by the finance officer, Ms. Smith, from the community college. You have any questions or comments? If not, we need your approval of the DC 2-1 for submission to the State Board of Community Colleges, which he has to get those signatures of County Commission Chair as well as the Community College Chairperson.
I move approval of that request, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, motion made by Vice Chair Brewer, second by Commissioner Johnson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. Dr. Elliott, on behalf of the board, thank you for all that you and do, your staff as well. Appreciate you.
On behalf of the community college, the board of trustees, faculty, and staff and students, we can never stop expressing our gratitude to all of you for all the support that you extend to the college. And it's so special to be, we don't get a chance to come often as we desire, so it's so special to be here today amongst others who are here to celebrate Commissioner Brewer and all that you do, as well as all the commissioners, and to be a part of Commissioner Brewer's Day.
Thank you.
To celebrate that every October 7th.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, item D. Infield School Apartments LLC value change request for parcel 0405614. Mr. Lynch. I'm not going to talk football. Good morning, Mr. Lynch.
Good morning. I understand why you wouldn't want to talk.
I'll open the door on that one, Chris.
I want to congratulate Commissioner Brewer on her reception today, and her and all of you commissioners. I really appreciate you guys allowing me to do my job day in and day out. I have two items before you today. As Commissioner Bryant just stated, the first one is Infield School Apartments LLC value change request for parcel 0405614. This is very similar to a request that I brought before you the first Monday of last month in regards to a low-income housing property that provides subsidized rents and receives a federal tax income tax credit described in section 42. For the 2024 reappraisal, I appraised this property at the cost approach at a value of $3,152,200 because even though mandated by North Carolina general statute, I did not have their income information to value them on the income approach. I have since received their income information for the 2 prior years to our reassessment, and then using that income approach, a new value was calculated at $983,000 even. So per General Statute 105-325, Section 8, Part 6, this board can make an adjustment to this appraised value based on information that was not provided to the assessor before the initial value. So my request is for this board to determine whether to reappraise the property based on the facts and information that have come to your attention of the assessor since the adjournment of the board of E&R, and that it will be consistent with the mandate of North Carolina General Statute 105-277. And I'm open to any questions about the law, section 42. My hands just this kind of.
We know.
It is what it is.
We know. It's a license to steal is really what it is. Sorry. Well, it is. And I find it interesting that these people don't think they have to provide this information until after they've had an appraisal. That is most likely very correct. But under this statute, we have no option other than to approve this request.
The management company, there's just under 20 properties like this in our county. Some of them like manage, some of the management companies manage 5 to 8 properties that fall in this category. Some of these properties are just individually managed by one company. So we had a pretty good response. Out of the 20, these are the only 2 that were laid. But again, like I had stated, just to let you know, I had put forth my best efforts in 2020. I sent out a request for all of this information and had a very low response rate. So I don't want to use taxpayer dollars, postage certified mail, if nobody's going to respond. That's right. This is the route we take.
Okay. As you always do, Ms. Lynch, thank you for your thorough explanation and great job in doing what you do. Okay, any questions or comments from commissioners? If not, what is your pleasure?
I move to approve this request
Okay.
since we're tied, our hands are tied.
All right. Did you second it, Commissioner Davis? Okay. All right. Motion made by Vice Chair Brewer, second by Commissioner Davis. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. Back on you, I believe.
Thank you. My second item are 3 2024 late exclusion and or present use value applications. I've been grouping these together just to make it easier for you guys to review. This month we had 2 elderly or disabled exclusion applications, parcel 0907052, William S. Keeter Jr., and parcel 0400449, Latoya Silver. If these applicants would have provided their applications timely, they would have been approved. Their deadline was June the 3rd. We had 1 late present use value application, parcel 0905263, Russell and Florence Fisher. Their deadline was the last day of January. They were unaware of, hopefully in your agenda packet, you've seen the scanned letters from the taxpayers requesting approval of these late applications and their explanations as to why they're late. The Fishers, if they had submitted a timely application, they would have been provided for the present use value program for 2024. So I asked this board to make a determination to accept any or all of these late applications for the 2024 tax year.
Question, do we do all 3 at the same time, or do we have to do them separately?
Since they're all, I think, on the same agenda item, you can motion to do all 3. And I also request that if you do approve any of the ones that you approve, you also approve to allow me to subsequently adjust their tax bill as needed.
Okay. Commissioners, what is your pleasure?
Move approval for parcel 0907052, 0400449, 0905263, and also that the tax director can adjust the tax bill.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Johnson. There a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Webb. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay.
Thank you very
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Shane.
All right, this time, we'll take a little break in a minute. Let's try to adjourn a little bit further we can. Request to receive K-9 donation, Captain Andy Cash and Detective Sergeant Chris Watkins, Detective Chris Watkins. Thank you all for being here. And I think the high sheriff is back there somewhere.
There he is.
And his top sidekick too, Neil.
This won't take us but a second. We're
Okay.
asking for approval of a K-9 donation going here in Halifax County. It's being donated to us by Willie Breeze Laboratory Chemicals right off 125 near Dave's Crossroads. If you accept the donation of this dog, it'll be one of only 3 in the state of North Carolina.
Wow.
That will be considered an electronic storage device dog. That's his specialty. It will stay with Sergeant Watt and be used in a criminal investigation aspect only, not like our normal dog where we patrol the road with them. This dog will be used as a detective, criminal investigation dog.
Wow, okay. All right, heard information coming from the Sheriff's Department. What is your pleasure?
Move approval.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Vice Chair Brewer, second by Commissioner Davis. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. What is electronic storage device detection?
Anything such as USB drives, flash drives, any kind of electronic storage device.
Wow. Okay.
Anything you can store any information on.
Wow. I tell you what, it's becoming very deep and high tech, isn't it?
Glasses,
New K-9s are
hearing aids.
definitely different than the old ones we dealt with.
Yes, sir. Thank you for explaining that. Good luck with it. Appreciate you all that you do. Sheriff, you have anything you want to say in 30 seconds?
So Detective Watkins come up here, and what this dog's going to be used for is he is a child pornography expert investigator. So when he does search warrants, people can have junk drives and cell phones and computers everywhere. Think of a house where you could have them in your house. So this dog is going to be assigned to him, and I didn't think that we had that big of a problem with child pornography in this county, but we do. His sole job is to investigate pedophiles. So this dog will be used to find the equipment that they are hiding, so we can get them and send them to prison. So I appreciate it, and thank you. And hopefully, we will not have to put the dog to work, but I know that we will.
Yes, sir.
So I appreciate it.
Thank you, Sheriff. Appreciate you coming up here and making that comment. Thank you all again.
Happy belated birthday.
Okay, next item, item G, solar energy systems ordinance, update and proposed revisions. Chris Roundtree, our planning director. It's still morning, Chris. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, board members. I got my blue pen.
Great, Chris. All right. That's the way I like it.
As you recall, at your September meeting, we had some public input surrounding solar farms, our ordinances, some of the things that may be of interest for us to take a look at for improvement. Before you, in your memo, we took a look at several sections of it. Just to start out with, we were looking at the buffering or the screening of the solar farms. At the time, we don't have any revisions recommended right now for that. We felt that the ordinance was pretty straightforward with buffering and screening. Also, the setbacks, that was one of the main things we looked at from right-of-ways, homes, property lines. In red, we do have several recommendations for that, basically doubling those setbacks, property lines, homes as well. And also, we were looking at the decommissioning plan specifically, which is within the ordinance itself. Trying to shore that up and recommended a couple of changes on that on the last page. There was a question concerning Northampton County about a moratorium. We did research that. They are in a moratorium right now for solar development into June of 2025. So they enacted that in June of this year. So so it's a whole year delay on that. There was a question also brought up by the public concerning, I guess, the limiting the size of the solar projects. Glenn did reach out to the School of Government. I don't believe we have a response yet. Is that correct, Glenn?
Yeah, actually, it was more of a question about not so much limiting the size of a solar project as limiting the total amount of acreage in the county that you might want to have developed as solar. I did reach out with a question about that, haven't had a response, and I suspect that's because it's not something you should be inclined to do. But if I get a response, I'll let you know before then. We've got several things I want to address before we finish today about this, because we're not asking you to make any decision today on the ordinance itself, but we do have, want to discuss the process that will be involved going forward, including whether you want to consider having a moratorium while we're thinking about the changes we are thinking about. Let me say one more thing, and I don't want to go on and on because I know we've got a long meeting, but when you think about land development regulation, the first thing you have to remember is that if you're going to make people do certain things or not let them do certain things with their land, you've got to have a legal reason to do that. And I know there's this whole topic of solar farms is hot on one side or the other. But the moment you start saying you can't do this after you've reached a certain number of acres in Halifax County, it's probably not a way you're going to want to go, and it may not be a way you'll get very far on if you try to do that. But there are a number of things we can do. We have a very good ordinance now, but a number of things we could do looking back at it, particularly about decommissioning, setbacks, and that sort of thing, that are probably worth your consideration and worth thinking about whether we have a moratorium while we're tweaking those things. And I can.
We did have one in developing the original ordinance.
We did.
It was 60 or.
We had a fairly, in fact, we extended the moratorium while we were developing this particular ordinance several years ago. What I will say is that if you want to consider a moratorium, we have to have a public hearing on that. We'd have to do that at your next meeting. Is that right, Michelle? Okay, yeah, at your next meeting, you'd have to have a public hearing on whether to have a moratorium. And we're in a position where we can notice for that at the next meeting. And then you've got to decide how long of a moratorium you want to have. I think, given that we're at the end of the year and you're only meeting a few times before the end of the year, and given that you've got to involve the planning board in this process as well, that at least 90 to 120 days is a period of time that would be reasonable. Northampton County has a 12-month moratorium. They must have their reasons for that, because without reasons to justify that, you can't do it. And I didn't get into it with the county attorney about what justifies 12 months. It may just be that they don't have an ordinance at all, and they're doing it, from scratch. I don't know. But your moratorium has to, your justification for that has to match how much work you're proposing to do and how long it should reasonably take. But 60 days for me is too short, given the time frame we're in now. 90 to 120 days, and we can discuss this at your next meeting, might be more appropriate. I don't know if you got other questions for now, but we're looking at changing things concerning setback lines. We want to tighten our decommissioning process, including the bonds that have to be posted. We want to tighten up on operators knowing who they are, because they change hats like they change cups of coffee in the morning. It's almost impossible to keep up with who's running the show. So we're planning to implement something about that as well. That will be tied to their permit, and that could result in revocation of a permit if we aren't kept informed about who is actually operating a solar farm wherever in the county. But we can have more on that at subsequent meetings.
I had a question about
Okay.
the decommission section.
Okay.
And I don't know what researchers says have shown to but the cleanup of the, will that be, I'm imagining in my mind, it could take two forms. A complete cleanup after everything, all the panels are removed from a solar farm? Would they clear the topsoil or something like that? Or would it just be patching the ground, once the equipment is removed, sort of like the footers and things like that?
The requirement for decommissioning is that the land be returned to as near the state that it was in before the solar farm was constructed. That would mean removing all the panels, removing all of the steel structure that holds those up. When you say removing the topsoil, that isn't typically something you would include unless you had some reason to think that something environmentally improper had leaked onto the ground. And I'm not an expert on this, but I heard that kind of stuff all the time when we were first developing this ordinance. I've yet to read anything authoritative that is an issue. And I don't want to get into all the stories about how bad solar farms are, but there are things that you don't want them left there once they're not working anymore, and that's what decommissioning is about.
I think that if it's determined that we're going to have a public hearing, it's probably going to get heated. And it might not be as heated as the hunters, but we're going to have a lot of discussion.
This next public hearing would only be about whether you're going to impose a moratorium. We will have subsequent hearings on the amendments to the ordinance at a later time. You're probably breathing a sigh of relief to hear that. Okay, I thought you might. But this whole process involves going to the planning board for their recommendations back to you, and then for you to have public hearings on whether you're going to amend the ordinance. But the very first thing to decide is, are we going to have a moratorium in the meantime while we're making changes? And that public hearing is set for your next meeting this month.
I think you need to make that clear.
Oh, yes, ma'am. It is.
During this moratorium, basically no solar farms would be built.
There'll be no applications for permits accepted. Otherwise, if you've already got a permit, you continue on. If you've got your permits already in place, your process is just going to continue. It's a moratorium on taking new applications. I don't think we need any particular action unless you don't want to consider a moratorium at all, which I would kind of urge you not to go that way. If you just give us a nod that having a public hearing on the 21st, then we'll proceed with that next step.
Okay, commissioners, are you all okay with that? Okay. All right, so you have that green light, but no action other than that required. All right, thank you, Chris, appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda, and after we do this, we're going to take a break. Buddy Rand, Deputy Director of Emergency Services, State Mutual Aid Agreement. Good morning.
So we have an existing statewide mutual aid agreement in place, it was adopted in 2004. The state sent this out late last year. It's basically an update, an updated version of that. There was some reference in the old one about a declared state of emergency prior to initiating some of this mutual aid. That was removed. So it's a pre-planned event would be an example of something that you wouldn't need a declaration of emergency for. You would still be able to provide mutual aid for a pre-planned event. So that some of that verbiage is taken out, but other than that, it's pretty standard. It's very similar to what it was previously. And for brevity, if y'all have any questions or concerns, we can discuss them. Otherwise, I'll make a motion that y'all would accept this and approve it.
Okay, you've heard information coming from Mr. Wren in regards to the State Mutual Aid Agreement. Any questions or comments? If not, I'll we need to adopt this statewide mutual aid agreement authorizing the reciprocal emergency management aid and assistance throughout the state of North Carolina.
Move for adoption.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Smith. Any further discussion? Tell you, we're getting some action up to the left today. It's pretty good.
We get ready to go home.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? But I do want to take this opportunity to thank you and your staff for all the hard work that you do whenever we have an emergency. You know, the county manager and I talk all the time when something is brewing, and she tells me what's going on with you, and I just want you to know you're at work and you're on the spot. You're on point with it every time.
We've been very fortunate.
Yeah.
Some other areas of the state too.
Right. Yeah. But do appreciate all that you do and looking out for us. Thank you. All right, this time, let's be at ease for about 10 minutes. Let's be back at, we'll take a little bit more than 10 minutes. Let's be back at 11:45.
Yeah, that's three. That's three.
11:45, we'll be back. And I think we got that record on, which is okay with the clerk. Right? That thing on?
Do y'all see a?
Don't look like it's on. I'll see that green light on.
God, I can see something back after
Okay. We have to wait for it. Let's see, we'll give her a couple minutes before we start that.
Does anybody need any more of these? This side of the room got them. Do y'all need more? This is the reception in November for three departing. I can hand them down if y'all need extra.
Sam, you want one?
Okay. Take as many as you need, and we can get you more.
Okay.
I got one today.
We're at board appointments, item 5 on the agenda. I believe the first one we have, Madam Clerk, Central Communications Advisory Board.
Yes, sir.
Receive nominations to reappoint Adam Green.
So moved.
Motion made by Vice Chair Brewer, second by Commissioner Johnson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Receive nomination to waive the term limit and reappoint Tanya Bird Robinson to the Central Communications Advisory Board.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Webb. Is there a second?
Ms. Johnson.
Second by Ms. Johnson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. Economic Development Board. Receive nominations to appoint Jack Kiger to fulfill the unexpired term of the late Johnny Draper Jr. Motion made by Commissioner Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Brewer. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Dwelling Board of Adjustment, receive nomination to appoint an individual to replace John Armstrong. I guess we'll just hold that open. Right? Okay, Madam Clerk, is that the last one?
That is the last one.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Now we'll move to Economic Development. We'll hear from our Economic Development Director, Ms. Scott.
I bet you all won out. I've been free, because I know you have a lot on your plate today, and then I know the closed session, there's a couple of things I have to discuss with you all about. I'm going to move through this very quickly, since you all had it in your update, and hopefully you memorized it. Our economic indicators, our unemployment rate is up to 6.1%, or it stayed the same from the previous period, 6.1%, but compared to last year, we're up from 5.5. And that represents 1,163 people in the county that are unemployed. Our building permits were just over 7.9 million, compared to 8.3 million a year ago in August. But that does not include Halifax County permits for August. They're going through a system change in their process. And so we'll be catching up once they get the hang of their system and it becomes a more efficient way for them to get this information. Our gross retails were just over 63 million, almost 64, compared to 64 a year ago in July. So we're seeing a little bit of slowdown in our retail sales, and a lot of the construction that we had going on, like the chemicals and Roseburg and other projects have slowed down or finished. But hopefully some of the school construction that's going on will have an impact locally. Weldon Riverfront Steering Committee, that Lori Medlin and I are members of that committee, trying to help the town identify how to lay out some of their projects for the future at their riverfront park area. My Future NC, that's my friend Angie Jenkins. She and I worked together a long time. She works for My Future NC, and their goal is to try to provide 2 million North Carolinians with a high-quality credential or post-secondary degree by 2030.
She has convened all the school systems in Halifax and Ramsey County, the colleges, the early colleges, and the leadership of those groups to come together to come up with a plan to meet this objective. I participated in a tourism retreat in September to look at projects that upgrade tourism. And, you know, a lot of the construction, a lot of the activity, people building and construction helps to fill up the hotels as well. So we want to keep that connection going. Our office hosted the Regional Brownfields Coalition. This is an annual meeting to try to identify how we can support the redevelopment of brownfields throughout the 5-county area. You know that the Upper Coastal Plains Council of Government, who administers this program, was a tremendous partner for our West Point Stevens project. And so not only our project, but there's other projects in the county, the ball field, the site near the ball field, the former Winn-Dixie grocery store in Running Rapids, that was done, the M&M Grill redevelopment in Littleton. All of these projects were impacted by brownfields funding. But there are 2 local projects that have been identified for the future here in Halifax County. The meal complex at the corner of Jackson and 5th Street, and then the I-95 industrial site, which is right beside Roseburg. It's a property they looked at to purchase as a part of their footprint, but it is contaminated by patch activities of patch rubber years ago. So we'll work with them to try to get that redeveloped. This is National Manufacturing Week, and then this is also National Manufacturing Month, and so the Economic Development Commission is highlighting some of our major industry in the county, and we started with weld and steel. So hopefully you got the email and information, read about the things that weld and steel are doing to try to improve their footprint in Halifax County, and we have other companies that will be highlighting throughout the month. The Fairfield by Marriott is well under construction. You can see that street infrastructure is starting to take place. This is Fairground Lane, which that's always been like kind of a opportunity for a cut through, and now it's going to be a town paved street that will provide that opportunity in the future. Stella Jones is moving forward. We're waiting for Enfield to approve the, or to sign the Waterline agreement. They did approve that last month, or earlier this month. I'm sorry, September. And you all as a board approved the formalities that help us move forward with the funding that we received for the Waterline replacement project. And then heating is moving forward, and their completion is targeted for December. And then the Tesla mega charging stations will be completed in November, and work with them to try to do some type of groundbreaking or ribbon cutting facility. Ribbon cutting, not groundbreaking. Running Cooperative for our shell building project, they submitted an application to USDA in September for $2 million. That's the match for our Golden Leaf funding. And so that approval will be forthcoming by the end of December, and that's when we'll kind of kick off those next steps for this project. Our select site, we're still getting increased interest. In fact, today I've got an email this morning, site selection consultant that wants to come visit next week. This site, we'll be talking about projects that are looking at this site in our closed sessions. So a lot of good activity recently. And then we're continuing to work on finding funding for several of our major infrastructure projects we have in the county. The Airballs Alternative Access Road project, I believe we've identified that final source. That's the Southeast Crescent funding. We did apply last year, but did not get approved. They had such a small pool of money, but they'll have more money this round, which will start in December. And so we're hopeful that that will be the closing gap for that project. Our client activity was good in September. A lot of new projects that we responded to, and existing projects that we've worked with. Our Halifax Horizons is going to have their annual meeting later this month, the 22nd. Hope you all will be able to be there with your guests. We're going to have a great speaker, Chris. He's just amazing. and look forward to catching up, what's going on across our state and how important Halifax County is to our statewide economic development efforts. A couple things I wanted to point out about what's ahead for this month for Targus Days. That's really important for Halifax County. But the Rural Center is having a regional roundtable. It's like a listening session on October 22nd. I'm going to be sending out some information in addition to what the Rural Center may have reached out to you all for. But the information they get back is going to help develop policy and principles that they work with state leaders to address in the future. So it's really important for us to have a good contingency that speaks up about the needs of Halifax County as a rural area. And then we are collaborating with Cooperative Extension for Farm City Week, which comes up in November. I'm really excited to work with Beth, and she's got some great ideas, and we're going to work together and do something really fun. Any questions? I'll be glad to answer.
Okay.
I have presentation.
All right.
I did put a letter at your seat. It's a letter addressed to Dr. Ken Elliott. You have that?
Mm-hmm.
I received a request to provide a letter of support for the college for a proposed facilities maintenance technology program. And so the Economic Development Commission did approve a letter of support. And there was one requested from the Board of Commissioners as well. So I took the liberty and provided DO with a draft letter for you all to consider in support of the college's efforts. And it's really a great opportunity for them to get some additional funding to set up this facilities maintenance technology program. And as you know, this program would help to train people with HVAC, mechanical, electrical, automation systems, things like that. And a big help to some of our industry that utilize these services quite a bit in their operations. So the letter of support from the county commissioners will help them in their efforts to secure funding for this facilities maintenance technology program.
I'm going to move that this request be approved. The board of the college has worked on this, and it is so important for our community and our businesses. And these particular items that they're going to offer, they're needed jobs, HVAC to your home. So I move that we approve this letter of support.
Okay, motion made by Vice Chair Brewer, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Davis. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay.
All I have right now, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. All right, appreciate you, Ms. Scott. Thank you for all that you do. Item 7, County Manager's Report. We'll hear from our illustrious, hardworking County Manager, Ms. Denton.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners, again. It is 12 o'clock exactly, so good afternoon. Literally, it's 12 o'clock on the button. I have 5 items for you today. I'm going to do the first 3, and then the last 2 I'm going to have Ms. Wells come up and go over with you. The first one is a request to allow staff to negotiate a contract with a construction manager at risk firm. This has come up as we continue to work on the renovations and the upfit of the 3rd floor down the street at the Clerk Services Building. This has come up as an issue for a few reasons. One, because the building is occupied and will be occupied during the renovations, and because we will have to do this work in phases now. We got $8.25 million from the General Assembly, which we are incredibly grateful for, but that likely won't cover the entire cost of the renovations. So in discussion with our architect, which is Mosley Architects, they have recommended that the county into a contract with the CMAR firm. We've actually never done this before. This is new for us as well, but we did an RFQ and interviewed them. We've got 2 responses, and we interviewed them last month. I think this is going to be really beneficial to this project. They're going to help us find ways to really find efficiencies, and they're motivated because they enter into a contract for a guaranteed maximum price. So they're highly motivated to stay at or below that construction price. We interviewed Daniels and Daniels Construction and Bordeaux Construction. Mosley has worked with both of them and didn't have any real recommendation. They said they would both work well. Just with staff interviewing them, we felt like we were a good match with Daniels and Daniels. So I'd like your permission to negotiate a contract with Daniels and Daniels to be the construction management at risk firm as we move forward into this process. Glenn, did I need to add anything or commentary?
No, it's just your motion to have you enter into those negotiations. And what happens, of course, with this type process, if we can't negotiate a contract that we're satisfied with, we can go to the next firm that we have on our list, which would be Bordeaux. But at this point, they're both very good firms. Bordeaux is working on the Halifax County School project now, I believe.
They are. They are.
And so we're familiar with them, but we want to negotiate with Daniels and Daniels. They're a firm out of Goldsboro who seem to be very well suited to handle this type of project that's already got people in the way when you start doing this work. So just a motion to enter into negotiations is all that's needed.
And Ms. Denton, we're strictly talking about the court services building, right?
Yes.
Okay.
As you move forward into the other project behind it, that may be something to consider again, which again, you have an occupied detention facility that will they'll have to work around those things with a new facility. So ideally, you could continue that relationship if everything works out.
All right.
Because we have not done this before, not this process. I guess my question is that once the firm comes back with a bid, does that come back to the board?
We'll come back to you with their contract.
Their contract.
Yes, ma'am. Once they have a proposal for gross maximum price, that will come back to you for approval. Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? If not, we need a motion for request authorization for the county manager to negotiate, that contract.
I move approval of that request.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Vice Chair Brewer, second by Commissioner Webb. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
The next item is regarding a grant opportunity through the America 250 North Carolina Commission. I had to switch items here. This is a second round of $10,000 grants for county committees. We did receive a grant in the first round, and what we're going to use those funds for are event expenses for April 12th, 2025. So, we're going through this process where we'll celebrate in 2025 with the big celebrations in 2026. The second round, you have to connect to at least one of the themes connected to America 250 NC, and those themes are Visions of Freedom, Gathering of Voices, and/or Common Ground. Our county semi-quincentennial commission, which is the county committee, they met last week or week before last, their meeting, and they didn't have a lot of solid ideas. Number one, it's time sensitive. Number two, you have $10,000 and you have to have something fairly concrete to do. So in anticipation of that possibly happening, I had an idea that I presented to them that they ended up going with. Typically, when there are grants that do not have matches, we don't necessarily bring those to you all. However, in this case, you have a picture attached to your agenda materials of the hallway right outside the finance department. It's called the Freedom Shrine. And it's actually 3 separate panels. If you look closely, there's 3 separate wooden panels. And this was put up by the Exchange Club many years ago. I don't remember the exact date. But most, if not all, of those documents are completely illegible. I've stood there and tried to read them. You cannot read them at all. So the idea was, and agreed to by the committee, was to pull those documents down and do some type of mural artwork on those panels. And you potentially could do on each of the panels representing each of those three themes. So the committee voted that they would like to present that. I wanted to run that by y'all since it is in the historic courthouse before we submit this to the state for consideration. But what they like you to do is to work with a local artist or North Carolina artist to come up with a mural type piece of art that would go in the courthouse. So just want to throw that out there and see if you had questions. We wanted to replace this for a long time because you can't read it, but now we potentially have funding to do it without using county funds. So we thought this was a pretty good match. But I wanted to get any feedback you have before we went with something fairly drastic changing downstairs in the courthouse.
You said that the mural would represent all of the three
We
themes,
talked
or-
about that. Because there are three themes, you could potentially represent all three. And what I would envision is over the top of this, you have some kind of lettering sort of commemorating America 250. If you're familiar with the airport, the information board on that wall where it has this beautiful, it's almost like the In God We Trust letters. You would have something along those lines above the top, sort of explaining what it is, and then you'd have your art or your mural type depictions of each theme on these panels. These panels are attached to the wall, and I don't know what it would look like if you took them down. So we may need to leave those. I'm not sure.
I'm agreeing that something needs to be done about that.
You can't read them. You can't. So.
Okay, you've heard the information coming from Ms. Denton regarding that. What is your pleasure?
I move approval of this item, and we've got our own wonderful painter right here in our county who has been all over the county. And this is kind of ugly. I know we're not about aesthetics necessarily, but if you can't read it, it's a waste. This is probably the strangest request I've ever seen.
Sorry.
It's okay.
We were actually going to come to you with a request to change it anyway, but with this opportunity, sort of,
And the money.
and the funding to go with it,
Yeah.
made sense.
Okay,
Got a motion?
all right, I got a motion.
Second.
Okay, all right. Ms. Brewer made the motion, Ms. Johnson seconded, right?
It's so different. You don't
Okay.
know what to do with it.
Okay, didn't Ms. Johnson second the motion?
Yes, she did.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. All opposed?
Thank you for that. I know that was unusual.
I was just sitting there thinking about how Ms. Brewer was talking about how different it was.
It's different, so,
I did have a question.
Sure.
After the fact. So I guess for the artists, I guess there'll be a process where you'll ask local artists to submit something based on
yes,
their-
yes.
Wonderful.
We haven't really gotten through that point yet, but that's what we envision doing, is sort of putting it out for maybe some sort of ideas that, obviously we want to make sure it's appropriate and really supports the themes and is something that you want to see in a public building. So we would certainly go through some kind of process, but we certainly have some talent
Yes.
in this area
Mm-hmm.
that would be well suited to this type of project.
Okay, all right. Next item, item D and E, I think you were going to say bring up the deputy county manager.
I need to do C.
C, okay, go ahead.
This is much more straightforward. This is for your NCACC Legislative Goals Conference. If you remember, a few months ago, you all approved some goals to submit to NCACC. They go through this process every 2 years. They've requested a voting delegate and an alternate if you would like to nominate one for the Legislative Goals Conference. The sticky part of this one is we had already set the reception date to honor Commissioner Smith, Brewer, and Johnson on November 14th in the afternoon. This conference goes November 14th and 15th. So it may be that we can divide and conquer in some way, just to add a little bit of options to you. You can nominate non-elected officials, which means staff. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a commissioner. It can be a staff if that's what you would like to do. But if you have a nomination, I can submit that to NCACC. I would also just assume at this point that there could be some type of change or allowance for some type of proxy due to what's happened in the western part of the state. And I can't imagine commissioners would be able to or willing to travel when they may want to be closer to home.
Right.
I haven't heard anything to that effect yet, but NCACC has been communicating with us daily about what we can do and what is happening in those counties.
And I know that happened a meeting today virtually, and there's one tomorrow that I plan to join tomorrow.
Yeah, so, and I haven't had a chance to ask that question yet. It just wasn't the right time to ask it with everything that's going on last week in the western part of the state, but it wouldn't surprise me if they made some accommodation for this conference.
Yeah, I think they probably will, because I know I'm on the state board, and we got a meeting coming up this weekend.
That's right.
And they are allowing the people in the western part of the state, or anyone else who don't want to, come in person, they can do it virtually. But they have very specific said, the western part of the state, for them to participate virtually, if they can do that. Some of them may not be able to do that. Commissioner Davis, I know that you're on the State Legislative Goals Committee. You're going to be down there anyway, aren't you?
Yes.
And the voting will be on Friday,
Okay,
ordinarily. The
right.
day before is meetings.
Like the meetings and then the
Uh-huh.
voting
And then they
Friday.
usually have a guest speaker, those kinds of things.
Okay.
The voting will actually be.
On the
Friday.
15th.
Okay,
So I guess my question is, you plan to be on the 15th?
Yes.
okay.
Okay. Would you mind serving as the delegate?
I don't know.
Okay. All right. Can someone make a motion for that?
I move Ms. Davis be our delegate. It'll be an eye opener.
When I stopped laughing, I heard his motion. Okay, motion made by Vice Chair Brewer. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Webb. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
All right.
Congratulations, Ms. Davis.
And thank you for that. I've never been to this conference, so I could not offer any additional guidance, so thank you.
It's interesting. It's,
Is it?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Western Judge used to always volunteer.
Always.
He was.
Yeah.
That was his thing.
Always, that was
Miss-
Right.
Ms. Johnson, right, when we was on, you have one about it. You got it.
And even though we're one state and 100 counties, our goals are not going to match the goals over there. I mean, it's interesting. And when the people get out there and try to sell their point, it's like being at a movie. So, it's a learning experience. It's good.
It is good. Okay, item D and E now, I believe, right?
Okay, yes, and if Ms. Wells could come up, I'm going to let her go
Okay.
over these
All right.
with you.
Y'all been busy.
Right. Okay. So hopefully you guys had a chance to take a look at these HCIA legislative goals. Speaking of goals, we can kick the can if need be, but we have to have our legislative goals for the county decided upon prior to the November HCIA meeting so that we can vote on the collective document, which will then, of course, be presented to our legislator representatives at the 2025, January 2025 meeting. So, I included two items for you. One was Halifax County's specific HCIA legislative goals. The other was the Intergovernmental Association's common goals. What we try to do is not, I don't think we do it as much, but we try not to repeat goals when we decided collectively on the common goals. So it's up to you. I can review the Halifax County goals, and we can decide if we want to keep them or change them, and we can probably knock this out in a couple of minutes if you're comfortable with that. Are you okay to proceed?
Okay,
No,
yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
So the virtual meetings goal, authorizing you to meet virtually at your discretion as needed, would you like to keep that goal?
Mhm.
Okay. The per-child allocation to LEAs, I'm not going to read this specifically, but just
Yes.
making sure the funding follows the students.
Mhm.
Yes, okay. Scrap tire disposal is still an issue, so increasing the distributions to the counties to cover that cost. Okay, that's a key. Our dog hunting goal was supporting legislation to regulate hunting, both protecting the property owner while preserving the tradition of hunting with dogs. It's a very balanced goal. Keep, okay. Broadband for rural communities, again, we just requested continued funding to support and expand specifically for rural communities.
Put 2 checks by that.
I can move it up. I can move it up and make sure they see it.
Yeah.
Okay. The 911 surcharge flexibility, are we good to keep that goal? Okay. That's just making sure, you know, it's very specific, and Dia can speak more to this, which she has more familiarity, but the specific funding, the expenses that we can be reimbursed for from the 911 funds are extreme, well, Mary can speak to this as well, just extremely particular. So, Dia, do you want to comment on that at all?
Most of the funds you receive allow you to take the call, not to dispatch the call out.
And they can't be used for personnel expenses
No.
at all.
No personnel.
So we've just always advocated for that funding to be more flexible in our usage. So that's a key. Okay, mental health funding, making sure that everyone is treated proportionally in mandated county contributions relative to our population. Okay, key. Education lottery funding, just maintaining the education lottery funding. Okay, I like looking around and seeing them nods. The design build concepts for schools. That a key? Okay. Unfunded mandates, including adoption assistance and crisis intervention, just making sure that we're advocating for legislations for counties to receive additional direct funding and administration expenses to cover unfunded mandates. Okay?
Speaking about unfunded mandates, aren't we going to have one from the Board of Elections about the elections? It's going to be coming to us.
I think that's just an automatic.
Okay. Still an unfunded mandate, though.
Oh, yeah, counties are responsible
Right.
for reprinting those ballots.
Yeah. All right. You can go ahead and
And
continue.
then the last one was just the ethics training. So it's an amendment to current legislation regarding ethics training for more wide-ranging programs.
Put that in Supreme Court.
Good point. I mean, these are all good goals. Can you keep all of these? Are there any additional goals, hot button topics with anyone? Because I can figure out how to add them. I'll make that font as small as I have to.
Well, I guess when you put goals on here, I guess there are no listed priorities, you know. But
Not in any particular.
I know Ms. Johnson was joking, but serious at the same time about broadband, but if we could prioritize that in some way, but anyway.
All right, I'll make sure that one's rolled up to the top. Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
right.
Absolutely.
You know, I think the virtual meeting issue was on the state goals last year.
Okay.
I think. I got a lot of stuff up there.
I mean, if that's something we can.
I mean, well, we got it. I mean, we've got it here, but I'm just looking at that it couldn't. Go ahead. Sorry. Hold your train of thought.
Any of our hot button topics? Or do you feel like we've covered them all?
Yeah, I think we're good.
See how good y'all are?
That's because y'all make us look good.
Well, I'm just- they just listen to us.
Like I said, it ain't about us.
It'll be great. All right, I'm gonna close that out. And so ours will be ready for HCIA. And then the second item I'm gonna review with you, thanks to the wisdom and dedication of our county attorney, and of course Michelle, who is his right hand. We've got through the community grants program, which we're very excited about. I think that provides a lot of transparency and more opportunities for other nonprofits in the area who may want to apply for funding. So that rolled out, and the applications are due October 15th. So I gave you a little bit of feedback. As you know, we included $50,000 for the community grants program for fiscal year 24-25. And what I basically told you was that it's pretty much going to function like our Recreation Partners Grant program, which is great, and it's a very smooth process. It's a very equitable process. And normally, you appoint 2 commissioners to serve on the Recreation Partners Grant Program Application Review Committee. And we're suggesting, of course, from Glenn, that we appoint at least 2 commissioners to this review committee as well, along with the county manager, the county attorney, the finance director, and any other staff that you deem appropriate. And what we would plan to do at that time, applications are due October 15th. We would meet to review applications sometime the week of October 21st to 25th. And then we would, as we always do, present you the final slate of recommendations for your approval at the November 4th meeting. So, what we're looking for you to do is to make those official appointments for 2 commissioners, county manager, county attorney, finance director, and any other staff deemed appropriate.
Okay, I have asked Vice Chair Brewer and Commissioner Johnson to sit on that committee. I know both of them will be leaving, and that will be their last order of business. And they currently serve on the Recreation Program Committee, and, you know, they kind of know how it works, you know, and I've told Dia this, you know, the next time that we get ready to do this, certainly we will involve more commissioners. It won't be just 2 serving on both of those. We're going to actually have 4, you know, 2 per recreation and 2 per community. But as of now, we'll ask those 2 who have been serving so very well for so long that they will just go out in style. And they have agreed. Thank y'all so much.
Did you say you have had some applications?
Oh, we have, and I've had lots of phone calls. I've been fielding very interested phone calls. But we've had Running River Partners submitted. Of course, I ensured that previous organizations that we had funded received a direct solicitation, such as Running River Partners, CADA, Hannah's Place, Union Mission, et cetera, et cetera.
Gotcha.
So we did that, we did a press release, and I've gotten lots of great questions from churches about some nonprofits who serve the area but were incorporated in Virginia. I mean, it's running a lot of good discussion.
Yeah, that's good.
What is that date again?
The due date for the application is October 15th, and then we will convene sometime. I'll send out a doodle or a date suggestion for the week after, sometime October 21st to 25th. Okay?
Okay, again, if no questions of Ms. Wells, I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. And thanks, yeah, great job. Thanks to Commissioner Johnson and Commissioner Brewer both for agreeing to take this task on along with the staff. All right, next thing, County Manager's Report. Turner Rollins.
I'll try that.
Go ahead.
I'll do County Attorney's Report, Mr. Chairman. 3 items for you. And
He was trying to get off the
the first item is the hardest one, and I will bring your attention to that. In your packet at your seats today is a copy of a proposed agreement or a draft agreement between the county and the Weldon City School Board of Education. This was in your weekly update, and this version, the version that's in your agenda packet, you need to ignore. And we need to look at this version, which is the one that Mr. Malone, the school board attorney, and I batted around for a few days last week near the end of the week. Essentially, what's happening is this. Of course, they're building that new 6 to 12 public school. They are using the CMAR process like we discussed for our courthouse facility, and they are about ready to sign that contract with their CM. Rod Malone called me a couple of weeks ago and said, why don't we try to put something together so that we're not losing the opportunity to retain or refund, get back the sales taxes that are going to be paid on this project. And the reason it's an issue here is because unlike our other school projects that we've always done, we have financed those with our county money and county borrowing, and we have owned the property when we were building the school. And if we owned the property then we're entitled to request the refund of the sales taxes. School boards don't have that ability, and if they own the property, those taxes, sales taxes get paid, and you can't get them back. This arrangement is often done in a situation like this, where what's proposed is that the school board will lease the site to the county, and the county will appoint the school board as its agent for the construction process. The contract for construction will be in the county's name by and through Weldon City School Board of Education as agent. It'll all be the same thing, it's just we're going to switch some roles here so that we, the county, can then make application for a refund of the sales and use taxes on this project, which may get as high or a little higher than $1 million. And you just don't want to let $1 million go if you can get it back. So that's the good news about doing this. The more difficult question is really, if you turn to page 4, there's a blank in this document, because that's the blank I want to talk about. And that's on paragraph 6 about the sales tax refunds. And left blank in the second sentence that says blank percent of the sales and use tax refunds received by the county will be held and allocated and reserved by the county for the use and benefit of the school for capital outlay. We have not agreed on what that should be. I will be frank with you and tell you that the school board would like for that figure to be 100%. I can also tell you that was not Ms. Denton's reaction when I first discussed this with her. So let me lay a few, let me just point out a couple things about this project. If I'm right, Mary, I think 5% is on local match, right? Mm-hmm. So 95% of the cost of this project is coming from state grant funds, needs-based public school capital fund, which is the lottery fund, but it's not the lottery fund that we have that's ours to use. It's competitive grant money from needs-based, okay? You have to apply for the grant and get a grant. So this 95% of the funding for this project is coming from the state. 5% is coming from Halifax County. I have already reached out twice to DPI to find out, in this circumstances, which is unusual for us, in this circumstance, if we get this sales tax refund, can we keep it? Because 95% of the money for this project is coming from state funds. Or is DPI going to require that go back? I haven't gotten an answer. Twice I've tried to get a response, don't have a response. The proposal is that some portion of this money go to capital outlay, or not go to the school system, but be held by Mary in a reserve fund for use for capital outlay for Weldon City Schools, provided that whatever they propose to do with it be agreed upon by both boards. In other words, kind of like lottery money, when they come to you, you co-sign a lottery money application. We would propose that the money stay with Mary, with our finance director, and then when they have a proposal to spend it on something, it gets joint approval. The idea being that it's kind of coming from the state anyway. It's state money that was intended for capital improvements anyhow. The question is, how much? Let me say this. If you do something like 50% to the schools and 50% to the county, what's going to happen if DPI says, well, wait a minute, you've just used state money intended for school capital to go into your general fund? They're less likely, in my view, if we ever get an answer, they're less likely to have a problem if you reserve some portion that represents the state money for capital outlay, as opposed to more than that. Now, that's not going to make anybody on the county side of this happy in terms of how much money we should keep of this state. Sales tax refund, on the other hand, we have to face the fact that 95% of the money we're spending is from state money intended for school capital. So you might want to consider where the percentage ought to be, to avoid having some trouble with it being drawn back later, ought to be 95%. and 5% go back to the county, kind of consistent with the county's stake in this project. I'm not saying what you should do, I just want you to understand that this is a unique situation with this needs-based funding. We've never had this before, and this is an opportunity to retain more of that money for school capital. Then there's no need to let it go to sales tax. I know the school board is meeting tonight. They have this agreement as well. That same blank is there, and Rod's been texting me and emailing me all morning to let him know what our proposal might be. I told him I'd let him know as soon as you had some discussion about it. Okay.
Well, I've struggled with this all weekend.
This is what she was at my door.
I was here before you got here
She was
this
at my
morning.
door before I got here and said, "Good morning, friend, I got a question." And this is what,
And it's very different from the last school we built, because we own
Oh.
that school.
let me mention that. And so you'll know the difference. The last school we built was Manning Elementary, and with that situation, all of that money was county money, either borrowed or money we had on hand. And in that situation, we did get the sales tax refund, and it went back to general fund. I don't think this is an identical situation.
So if I'm hearing right, we could retain the 95% in for Mary to hold, and it could be used in the future by that school system for capital.
It actually be held for them
Yes.
for capital.
For capital.
Yes.
And then we take 5%?
5% would be retained by the county.
County.
And you can do that. You can do something different. You could say 50%. I just can't assure you what will happen once DPI. And at some point, we will report to them, that we got this refund back. And they may well say, well, wait a minute, what are you doing with that money that was state grant money? They're not saying it now because they're too busy doing other things, but I'm looking forward, looking ahead to when this project closes out and you've got money left over.
Well, while Linda's thinking, I had several what-ifs.
Okay.
The first what if, what should happen if the state takes over the school system? Second what if is the public instruction might be waiting for election to see what happens there. So that's a consideration. And my third what if is, suppose the ADM drops lower than it is right now. And
Welcome.
Since you're on the roll, keep on.
Johnson, you're on the roll. Keep going.
December what?
how important or urgent is it for us to wait to get a reply from DPI?
I think it's urgent to go ahead and decide on this because they have contracts ready to sign for the construction managers.
They as well.
The Weldon City Schools, and I have no doubt, I'm not in the room, but I have no doubt that DPI knows through Dr. Shotwell that they're building this project.
Okay.
And so a lot of the questions you ask are really about the school's system on a more broad basis.
Right.
This project is in place, and apparently otherwise, I don't think, would DPI have funded it if they, it's funded and it's a project that's in progress and, going to be built. There's a fair questions about that you ask, but I don't see how it impacts what we do just looking at this project and the contract and setting it up so we're in a position to retrieve the sales tax
But
refunds.
in my mind, the whole trajectory could change
It could.
based on who the state superintendent is going to be and the regulations that they're going to make.
It absolutely could, and it could happen that, I don't know this, but I suppose in the realm of possibility, it could happen that the state says, well, we're not going to move forward with this project, in which case, we just aren't moving forward with the project.
So we're okay with that?
And that this is just more of the contracts related to it. That it doesn't commit us to do anything except as we go through and pay sales tax, we'll make application to get refund of sales tax.
I know Ms. Denton has a couple things you want to add. You got something you want to say?
I was gonna say, I'd like to know what county management.
Oh, you know, I want to say this, I have had conversation with the state board and the current superintendent who was representing the state board and the state board attorney as well as members of the state board. And they would call me because I'm chairman of the county commissioners, just keep me up to date what was going on. Anyway, no mention of that regarding the new middle school, high school. They didn't make mention. I did say that to them, and they just said, well, we're not, addressing that right now. We're just talking about these other things, about how we're going to do some other things. So there was no mention of that. I just want to tell you all that it was brought up, but was no mention of it. Go ahead, Ms. Denton.
Two things, and then I'll kind of come back to your question. Unless something's changed, we still don't have a supplemental grant agreement from DPI for this additional $12 million for Weldon. So they can't sign that construction contract until they have that funding.
Yeah, and I do have an email from DPI that's coming. I just don't have it yet.
Right, and we've been politely reminding them that we don't have the grant agreement, even though we've known for 6 months. And we had an award letter that we got July?
Yeah, it's in the summer.
So they can't sign the grant agreement until that, until.
They can't?
No, I'm sorry, the construction contract. Weldon cannot sign the construction contract until that grant agreement comes and is executed.
Yeah,
Between the county and the Board of Education.
We, the school board, and the county have
Right.
executed the grant agreement. The state superintendent has not. At least I don't have a copy signed by the state superintendent yet. I've requested, I just had an email just last week that I would have it in a day or so, and I'm still waiting for it, but,
Not really sure.
we've been letting them know we need that, because that's the document that says we have the funds.
Right. The second thing is, just to muddy the water even more, this could come up also with Halifax County Schools and their project. So I had a conversation with Dr. Cunningham last week and asked him where they were in the process, and he didn't really know what I was talking about. So he had a conversation with his architect. They seem to think they can amend their contract to make the county, help me understand how this works. They lease it back to the county?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He seems to think they can do that. If that's the case, we might could do that with Weldon if we needed to. So that is to be continued, because I think that's something that the county schools would consider also. But because this is a needs-based grant, we don't know what we would be able to do with the sales tax. Now, if it weren't a needs-based grant, I would say the county needs to get all of it.
Exactly.
All, 100%.
If it was all your money, I would take the same position.
100%. The county is putting in well over $2.5 million into this project, bless you, and Weldon's not put in one penny. And so this is an opportunity for the county to get back some of its taxpayer dollars that have gone towards this project. Again, same thing with Halifax County Schools project, but it depends on what the state says about how to claim that sales tax. What I would say is I would say 100% depending on what the state says. I did have a conversation with Dr. Shotwell, and we discussed a compromise of 50-50. Because the Weldon Board of Education also has to approve this agreement, so you have to consider what they might be willing, right, to agree to with the county. So I just wanted to put that out there too.
And if both parties fail to come to an agreement, it goes back to the state.
Well, nothing would happen at all.
They don't get anything.
Yeah, if we don't have some kind of agreement, the county cannot claim the sales tax.
And well, if it,
That's right.
That's correct. They don't have the authority to do that.
So is this something new that came about? Because, I'm saying because Halifax County is not doing.
It's
That was my
new,
question,
it's new
reading
because
over
of the way this project was funded.
It's because of the needs-based grant. This is the first time we have had it to where it's a funding option. So when Manning School was built, that wasn't an option because of the way lottery funds would be held. The General Assembly modified that legislation, so now that, because there are 3 school systems, it wouldn't penalize the other 2 because you have to let go of lottery funds for 5 years. That has been amended. So with this being new, we don't know how to go through this process, which is the reason the question has been posed.
And with other school projects, Ms. Davis, is that the county has always owned the property because we had a loan secured by a mortgage on the property. And because we owned the property, we could claim the sales tax refund. And in this case, this is brand new. These needs-based loans are something new. They're wonderful. It's a great opportunity, but we didn't have to own the property. We just put in our local match. But not owning the property means that sales tax is going to be lost. The school system can't ask for it back. Only we can do that if we have an ownership interest in the project, which is what the lease to us would be about. And we would be, in name only, we'd be the owner of the project, but the school system would be acting as our agent and actually constructing the project according to the plans and designs.
And they would make all the decisions based on.
They make all those decisions with the usual things we have already in place about being at meetings between the architect and the school. We want to be part of that. We have regular meetings that usually Mary attends so that all the money is still where it needs to be. So all that would still happen if we didn't have this. We'd be doing the things that we're going to do. This just switches the situation so we can make the tax refund application.
Madam County Manager, let me, if I heard you correctly, you said Weldon has no financial obligations in this?
No, sir.
What did you say? I didn't hear that. No what?
The question was if Weldon City Schools had any funding in this process.
Right.
They don't have any revenue in the
Right.
grant project, or project ordinance for the project. The money for this project is just from the county and needs-based public school capital fund.
Well, somehow or another, they got to have skin in the game.
That's what I was kind of wondering. I've heard you say it many a time. That's what I was just kind of wondering.
That would be a natural kind of route to take, except for with this being a needs-based grant, we're not sure we can take it. But if it wasn't for that, we would absolutely 100%.
Fair point, I just heard someone make, is that they do own the land that the school is being built on. I don't know who bought the land back in the 80s or 70s when it was being acquired, and actually the first deed was even in the late 60s, I think. So, but I'll speak to skin in the game, okay? And one thing to keep in mind is that school boards they don't raise revenues. Whatever skin ultimately that they're putting in the game is skin you gave them, if you follow what I'm saying, because they don't have any source of money except the state and the federal government and the county, okay? So I get it, and maybe skin in the game is giving up a little more of this tax refund than they want to. And I knew this was going to be a difficult topic, but I do have concern about this state grant money going into the county general fund. I worry a bit about that, and I worry about what DPI may say once that happens. If 50% of the refund went into the general fund, and some of the front-end money for that was mostly state money and money intended for school capital outlay, I think it's a fair concern.
Okay, so you're asking of us some direction as it relates to this?
What I'm asking for you is to decide what percent you want to claim, so I can tell Rod and he can tell his board tonight, and they can decide what they want, whether they want to accept that. And that's pretty much it. This This is easy until you get to paragraph 6. I mean, there's no question you don't want this money to stay with the Department of Revenue. You want to get it back.
Are you okay with the 50% split? Well, that will be on. And then, of course, I've heard what the attorney has said about that too. And you all have too.
What is Weldon saying?
They want, their attorney is the only person I've talked to. And, you know, their request is to have all of it put to capital outlay and held for capital outlay for future use. Okay? And I haven't talked to Dr. Shotwell, but I know that he was hoping the same thing. Initially, I wasn't part of any conversations that he's had with DIA, but their view is that all the money that was put up by the county and the state was intended for this capital project, and you know, in their view, it makes sense to hold it all or reserve it all for future capital needs for the school system.
We can't agree to that.
No.
Would they have any other choice but to agree with what we say that we want to hold? I mean, because if they don't get anything. Am I not right?
Well, I think, and you all correct me if I'm wrong, I think, Commissioner Smith, if Weldon and Halifax County don't come to an agreement, then nothing happens.
Correct.
Yeah.
So they don't get, nobody gets any money.
No, that's right. Yeah, am I right about that?
Yep. Yep.
So they won't have any other choice but to agree with what we say, do they?
Yes, but no too. I mean, they could just say no, no one gets anything, so.
I mean, hey,
I think you propose what you want to propose,
Right.
and I will
Correct.
certainly pass it on to Rod, and in all likelihood, it'll be accepted. And I can absolutely live with whatever both parties agree to, but fair warning, I told you about DPI and what they might say about it toward the end of this project.
So are we clear on that? Okay. Turner Rollins?
Not my motion.
Well, I'll make a motion.
You need a motion?
to do the 50-50. I'd
Okay.
really like to have 100%, but anyway.
I didn't know you need a
So,
motion.
It's just an unknown, Glenn, and we may have to give every dime of it back.
I don't know why you'd have to give it, well,
I
dime
mean,
of the
once
sales
DPI.
tax refund. You might, I mean, you may find out that Mary may get a call and says, what's this about a sales tax refund on this project? That's money left over that we sent to the state money that went to the project.
You did say we would be entitled maybe to a 5%.
And I could foresee what them saying would be something along the lines of, well, you don't have to send it back if you will allocate it to capital outlay, which is,
Right.
would have been doing anyway. But we can see.
Okay, so need a motion for that, Ms. Brewer?
I made that motion.
Okay.
So I'm going to take the motion, Ms. Brewer, if you don't mind, to be that the appropriate county officials are authorized to sign this agreement with the provision that 50% of the sales tax refund be allocated to the school system for, okay.
Okay, motion made by Vice Chair Brewer, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Webb. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay.
All right.
And I think you're still up a couple of
But this is,
times.
the rest of it is easy. Hold on to your hats, because this is easy stuff.
Okay.
And I'm getting hungry. We just did a building inspection agreement with the town of Halifax, and as things usually happen, the first week you get into that, a question comes up from Mr. Flynn, who's always got questions for me. And after he's wonderful, but man, he just,
Was it Harvey Friend?
oh my gosh, not yet. He's not quite there, but he's getting there. After we had a few discussions about things that had come up, we realized we probably need to tweak this a bit. So I made some changes to that agreement and just call it an amended and restated agreement for building inspection services. And what's highlighted in that document is what has been changed or rearranged. And essentially what we wanted to be sure to point out was that the building inspector for the county would have the authority to handle a condemnation process for the town up to the point of issuing his final order. And once that order it's very complicated. I don't want to bore you with the complicated Chapter 160D stuff. But once it's appealed to the town commissioners, they have to take it from there. So that's what that paragraph 2 is about. And then we tweak some other things about making sure that they understood that the town was responsible for appointing someone to have daily oversight for their building inspection process, and that was not the building inspector. So that means someone like Mr. White or maybe even Ms. Wells, since she's on the commission. Anyway, there's some town person who's appointed to do that. And the effective date, I think we spoke to that. And then just one more thing, since I had a chance to refine it, just added that this agreement supersedes anything that we've done before by other agreements. There's nothing really changed of substance. I just wanted your approval to have this amended and restated agreement executed. And if I could have that, then we'll be that much closer to adjournment.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Johnson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Davis. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay.
Okay, and the last request is related to that in a way. We have agreements already, old agreements back in 2004 with Enfield, Hobgood, and Littleton. And William and I would like to propose that we use the new agreement, like the one you just saw, propose a new agreement with each of those towns, Enfield, Hobgood, and Littleton. They're all attached. The proposed agreement now says the same thing that the Halifax agreement is that you just looked at. We simply want you to authorize the county manager to enter into these new agreements with the town of Enfield, Hobgood, and Scotland Neck. And we will approach them with a copy of this to have them on the same arrangement as we do the town of Halifax.
Can I get a motion? Motion by Commissioner Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Webb. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Okay.
All right, that's all I have. I'll have some discussion for you in closed session and a matter related to economic development as well, but Kathy will present that primarily.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you, County Manager, Attorney.
Yes, sir. There are some of those out there, you do know that, right?
I know.
Well, I'm not,
There's several managers that are attorneys.
There are, yep. But I don't know what they were thinking, but.
Appreciate you, Attorney Lyons. Commissioner Smith.
There you go.
We voted on items B and C. You okay voting in favor of those two items?
Yes, sir.
Okay, under the Attorney's report. So, Madam Clerk, you can add that to it. All right, on the other business, we have proclamation honoring Reverend Robert G. Heshpath, who is Pioneer Chapel Church. And of course, you all have seen that information honoring him and the letter that was given to Miss Johnson, and that's Miss Johnson's church. Miss Johnson, you have any comments on that?
Oh, just like to comment that when it was read, the pastor started crying.
Sounds familiar.
And I was saying to Ms. Wiggins that she did it, and it was so well done that he didn't think he could preach a sermon after that. So I thank her too.
Yeah.
All her hard work.
Well, like they were saying, well done, my good and faithful servant. Okay, very good. Appreciate you sharing that with us, but I do think that we need to have a motion for the official adoption of it, so we can get into the minutes. Can I get a motion? Okay, motion made by Commissioner Davis. There a second? Second by Vice Chair Brewer. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Okay, I believe that's all. Anything else on the other business?
I would like to thank everyone for your cards, your calls, your prayers. After the death of my granddaughter, I thank you for all of that.
Well, thank you, Ms. Johnson. You know for yourself, we're a family here, and we care about each other. I think everybody around this table would agree to that and attest to that. Many of us have, been through many things sitting around the table, and I know Commissioner Davis went through something with her husband as well, so, I mean, you know, we're all a family, and we're here to support each other. Okay, all right,
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
One thing that, I was looking at in our updates, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, at the number of vacancies we have in the sheriff's department. And just kind of wondering, I know we did a lot, a year or so ago, sort of increase the salaries and what have you. Is there any particular reason why we are? I know a couple of them I know retired, but other than that, all these vacancies we have. And I was looking at the EMC and
you said, what?
EMS.
EMS,
I'm sorry,
okay.
EMS, I'm sorry, yeah. And I see that they have a number of vacancies as well. I mean, do we feel like salaries contributed, still contributed to these losses, or just what?
Let me address them in order. Sheriff's Office, there's been a number of retirements. I can't speak to the reason of the other vacancies. I can ask Sheriff Davis if he has any indication. They're always offered an exit interview, but I don't know how often they are completed. We can check and see what we're hearing again. EMS, you talk about EMS particularly?
Yes.
EMS, there's been a few departures that were not by choice. I'll say that. Some performance issues that had to be addressed. So there are going to be some vacancies there. They're working to fill them. I think they're getting applications.
Okay.
To my knowledge, that is not a salary issue. That was a performance issue.
It was rather concerned because, I mean, these are two departments that are very vital, you know, to the county. And in particular, when I look at the sheriff's department, I think we have about 18 vacancies, I believe, if I.
There's quite a few. You see that in other agencies too. There's just not enough people to fill those slots. And you have to consider, while what this board approved was pretty astonishing, you can't stop there. Because we're hearing other counties that are doing salary studies and moving forward, so you can't take your foot off the gas.
Well, that's what I was kind of
To keep-
wondering, you know, are we staying competitive or, you know, just what is that?
As far as I know, we are staying competitive. Now, when I get to budget for 25-26, we'll try to re-implement the performance pay, which is a step increase, which is associated with your salary. That helps address moving forward in your position for retention particularly, and it addresses any compression issues that we've had. But there comes a point, people aren't going into law enforcement like they have been. So you're competing for all the same people. But I'll reach out to the sheriff to see if he has any further comments about that, and I'll share it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Smith, I think, raised a good point, or good points. Thank you for that. Okay, anyone else? All right, anything else on the other business? If not, we need to go into closed session. Ms. Scott?
Yes, sir. I have a couple items for you.
Okay. Turner Rylands?
I don't have anything other than the items Ms. Scott will be discussing.
Okay. Ms. Denton?
Same.
All right, anyone else?
Yes, I have one item for personnel.
Okay. All right. So with that being said, we need to go into closed session for, you said 2 economic development issues, right? 3? Okay, 3 economic development issues and 1 personnel issue. Can I get a motion for that? Motion made by Commissioner Davis. Is there a second?
Second it.
Second by Commissioner Smith. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Okay, we're